Hey, Ben's here.
Hi friends, good evening, and this is your host Ankit Khanelwal joining you from Delhi, India, and we have Kimberly Calhoun joining us from Raleigh, North Carolina, and we have Nick Palaveda joining us from Raleigh, North Carolina. Good morning to the world, good morning to USA, and welcome to IBM TV Celeb Tuesday. And as usual, we have a great lineup of celebrities around the world discussing about the industry and their journey and their life and all this stuff. So we'll start the show.
Hey, I just want to point out something first. Good evening, but take a look at Ankit. He's got a new background. I feel like we've moved.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this is all about, but I was going to send him a green screen in the meantime. So, you know, it is what it is. Well, we also had a very exciting yesterday on Business Monday. For those who want to go view it, we actually had the former dean and current professor at Yale University School of Business, Ted Snyder, and two of his graduate students that were there discussing 5G technology, something that's going to impact all of us. And we're going to bring them back again because we're going to update this 5G technology. I know I have Google Fiber, and it is fast. I have to admit, I had to redo a book, download a file. It went so fast, seriously, that I didn't know that it actually worked. And that's like spooky, you know, you move things so fast where I'm going. So I re-downloaded it again because I wasn't sure it's going to work. But Business Monday was very exciting. And then this afternoon, which I may not make due to other commitments, Stuart Rachels, the former U.S. chess champion, will be interviewed by Jim Eade. Now, why is that exciting? Because Stuart won the U.S. chess championship, became the United States chess champion, then quit chess altogether. Stone cold turkey.
Wait,
now, why would you do that? Okay. Why would you win the U.S. championship and just quit? And became a professor at University of Alabama. Same reason. And for those who've seen our videos, you go back and see Alan Treffler, the former World Open chess championship, then quit and now runs a multi-billion-dollar company, which he founds and owns. Ooh. So the thing is, there's some good reasons to quit chess, which I'll debate with Sasha Starr later on, the advantage of quitting chess to become a multi-billionaire, but or a professor at a university. But we won't discuss that right now because today is Celebrity Tuesday, but that's going to be on later.
I do want to do something, though. Ankit just finished something, and I'd like to have it played, is the promo for Jim's show.
We have a promo for Jim's show now?
Yeah.
Dude, for those who are watching IBM TV, you can see it build and grow right before your eyes.
Right.
When we take a look at the promo?
IBM. So play it. Okay?
I want to see
so
the
Jim is not here, so this is for Jim basically.
Okay, that is a great video. So I'm going to go on record right now. I don't know who did it, but Jim does not deserve it. Okay, so let's just get real. Okay, and I will tell that to him. It is fantastic.
So basically, Nick, let's take Ben's view as well. We'll invite Ben.
Oh yeah, we're going to invite Ben.
Hey,
my friend from the United Kingdom. Excuse me. Great Britain. Okay, Great Britain. How are we doing in Great Britain?
Firstly, Nick, that video is not my fault, to be honest with you. So let's get that out of the way.
Not your fault.
No, if it was a bad video, I would blame it on Great Britain. Okay, so remember, the thing is, at the end of the day, we know it's Great Britain's fault. Now, we usually don't do that here in the States. We always blame China and Russia. So if there's big coronavirus problems, China's fault. If it's big racial problems, Russia's fault. If it's any problems, it's China and it's Russian fault. Never our fault. Okay, so that's just the way it works here in the lesser United States of America as opposed to the Great Britain.
Yeah.
So,
and it's also nice to be in another room of Ankit's palace as well. So that's really nice to see Ankit.
Yes, Ankit has now upgraded his place to a palace, and
on the back of me, these are golden walls actually.
Oh wow, the golden wall.
I would not be surprised. That's the reason gold is at an all-time high, because Ankit is out buying gold, just to let you guys know, along with Sasha's car, and this is going to be a big problem.
What wing are you in, Ankit, today? The east or west wing?
East.
What wing? What wing?
Well, Ankit, why don't you show him your palace, Samodi Palace? Show pictures of your palace.
He knows about it. So Ben was there when he was ruling us, so he knows all the palaces.
Yeah, I know, but but you need to show him the palace. So the thing is, he can see your new digs, because this is the latest IBM.
Then Ben will regret that why he left India, because after that, I mean, we recreate all the palaces again.
Nick, do you want the plans?
That's right. They used to own them, but you bought them from them, so now you own the palace. But maybe I'll go find the palace. We got to show them the palace.
I've got the plans here, Nick. They're the plans for the palace that we had originally when we built it, because obviously it's ours. So there you go.
The Brits are into palaces. I mean, it's just where it is, just the way it is, So anyway, what I need to do is find somebody. I need to find a favorite Russian who now lives in Canada. Oh, there he is! It's Sasha Starr, head of the Stars. Yeah, Sasha, how are we doing?
Okay,
wait, Sasha, before we get there,
that matches Ankit's room.
This
is Kimberly.
This is Ankit's new digs, by the way. For those guys who haven't followed him, his $1.3 billion Facebook followers. He decided to move into a new place. And he has exclusive pictures of his home. That's his little cat, Tigger. Okay, Tigger. Okay, this is his new dig in India, right? This is his new digs. He decided to live here. So Ankit,
that is the paper. That is the
different.
That's the wallpaper, Kimberly.
Ankit
That's the wallpaper. You're absolutely right, Ben. That's the wallpaper.
Ankit, do you need any mortgage assistance?
Mortgage assistance. From what I understand, I was working with him doing his legal work. It was an all-cash deal. He already had Tigger, and he did an all-cash close.
We're going to trade in his viewers.
So for those who want to go visit Ankit, we do plan, as soon as coronavirus gets vaccinated sometime next year, we're going to go visit him in his new digs, which is this place here. I think it's pretty nice. It's pretty good place, and we'll go hang out here for a while. What do you think, Sasha?
Nick, when you say it was a cash deal, you don't want to tell me that Ankit was actually paid to assume the ownership of this.
No. What he did, he actually, without breaching confidentiality, had a mortgage on it, and cleared the mortgage and took the place over. Now, the real problem is Ankit hasn't got the first air conditioning bill yet, and it gets hot in there. So
it's got an open breezeway, and it's got some natural air conditioning.
Yeah, he's keeping the AC down a little bit.
Probably some solar energy is attached. I hope a place.
But if you want to look, if you want the Maharaja lifestyle, which is what I prefer, this is where you live. Okay, and this is where you go to. All those other places, forget it. That's. I
just want you guys to know that this is like what Nick is accustomed to. The first time he ever dined on a styrofoam plate with plastic utensils was with me.
Yuck.
So he had never done that before and was a bit nervous.
I had no idea, Kim. I'm very.
So we decided for his best interest that we wouldn't dine that way anymore.
Right.
Clubs.
Yeah. See what we call this in the States. In case you guys don't know, this is known as a cabin.
Yeah,
at least that's what my business partner Max said. He goes, "Well, I have a cabin up in Wyoming." Okay, well, this is a cabin, and I know the Great Britain people say this is a cabin or a country home or something like that.
Home.
But for Ankit, this is Maharaja lifestyle. That he's grown accustomed to. Problem is that it does have a big maintenance bill attached to it. but it does look pretty nice. And yes, we are going to be going there. And what we're going to do is we're going to film from there too. If Ankit
I just want to know, does it come with its own car and driver? And staff?
You got to pay for your car and driver. But Eddie is there. You can go see Tigger.
Tigger's there. Does it come with its
now Tigger, if Ankit doesn't like you, he sends Tigger to go see you. And you'll be quickly escorted off the premises. But if Ankit does like you, and this is the reason it's good to have friends in India, then Tigger will be staying away from you. So Tigger runs the gamut of the place.
But I'll tell you something. We give special privileges and advantages to Britishers, basically.
Yeah, that's right. See, it was the Great Britain. Brits were the guys that thought of this idea. They go, we need to build some houses. So they built this place here.
No. I'll tell you what happened, basically. So after watching these palaces on Facebook, then they thought of ruling India for 200 years.
Oh, really? Okay, so these were in India before. And the Brits needed more housing. I was wondering. I know it's Great Britain's fault. I just couldn't figure out how it was, And then of course, what they didn't want to do, they didn't want to send armies in. So what they did is they funded the British East Indian Company to do all their work. So
the British East India Company, what they did is they created a Rashtrapati Bhavan and some more modern buildings, apart from a good railway network and infrastructure. But apart from that, all these palaces are done by the kings.
Really?
And they all are like 5,000 years old. I mean,
right. Well, you also have pictures of some of your neighbors' homes. You can show us some of those too. Ankit, that's your house, okay? But remember, there was this other home, and there was other home. There's a couple more homes than your neighbors. So maybe if you can bring them up on IBM TV, we can look at some of your neighbors' houses too as well. I like your home. Don't get me wrong, but your neighbors' homes were pretty impressive also. So this one here, Ramba. Mr. Ramba lives there, I believe. Okay, and Ramba's house is pretty nice. I did kind of like that. It was pretty cool.
Oh wow! I kind of like the U shape.
Okay, we're looking at Ankit's neighbors. We just reviewed his home. Now we're going to look at Mr. Ramba's house.
So the reason why I like the U shape is that way you can get from this point to this point by cutting across the yard.
This
we did it because we have to avoid COVID patients. So it's like one entry and one exit.
Okay, there you go. Okay,
right, but this is not a bad home either.
It also depends if Tigger's on the front lawn as well. I'm not going across that lawn if Tigger's out there.
I don't see Tigger here. Tigger didn't come. Ramba is his neighbor, and Mr. Ramba, who lives next door, lives there. In case Americans and Britons have misconceptions about how people in India live, we're now getting the lifestyles of the real Indian population.
Rich and shameless.
Rich and shameless. No. They're just nice people. Okay, this is
the rich and shameless
Disney World, Disney dining room.
Rich and shameless.
Ramba's living room. Yes, Ramba doesn't live too bad either. So he's doing pretty good over there in India. Yeah,
that was just a wine glass one. It wasn't a waterfall; it was a wine glass.
yeah.
It's I'm just curious about why do people have to have two sets of stairs? That's just always amazed me. Even in the
one for king and one for queen, basically.
The king goes up one way, the queen goes up.
Once they meet, it's a good picture.
It's all related to COVID-19. What happened is to prevent people and keep them socially distanced. They created two sets of staircases because they were very forward thinking. Okay, they realized that if a pandemic took place, they could go up and down their two staircases. But what I like is it has water fountains. The water fountains are pretty nice. So Mr. Ramba, I think, did a good job. The interior decoration is good. And yes, if you want to go visit IBM TV and visit Mr. Ramba's place, we'll have to ask him permission. Now, we can go crash it at Ankit's place, and we plan to do that as soon as COVID-19 ends, because his place isn't bad either. So he's got some nice places. Is this another one of your neighbors?
Yeah.
Can we hold an IBM TV poll? Do you believe Do you think Nick actually believes what he says?
Yes, I do.
What? Yeah, we are going to go over there. What are you talking about?
I was worried about the stories you come out with about the stairs and the COVID-19 and
that's all based on historical fact.
Yeah,
Ben, it's historical fact. Go Wikipedia it. Okay, if you read through that some of these were developed 475 years ago. And remember, they had to go through the Spanish pandemic, Spanish flu. And the Indians are pretty smart, so they know that we need 2 staircases so they could maintain social distancing. So they developed.
That has always just got the best of me. So
Okay.
we
All
do
right.
it
Now, is this one in Japer? For those who haven't been there, Mr.
Yeah.
Ramba's
Oh
place.
yeah.
By the way, Ramba, there's a couple guys over there doing pretty good. Ramba and another one, because I looked at them, Layla, they're doing pretty good. Some of your neighbors.
You know, you always have to have a backup palace, right? You just can't have one.
Yeah, he's got some pretty good properties over there.
So when one gets attacked, you go retreat, and you don't retreat to fight. You retreat and go to the other palace.
That one in Agra is not for sale. I already checked it. I checked it on Zillow. Agra was not for sale. You know, there's a guy named Taj who owns it. I think his last name's
Like the ones with
last name's Mahal. Okay, so Mr. Mahal owns it, I guess. Anyway,
I like the palaces with moat. So
yeah, well, Mr. Taj actually has a moat in his. Okay, it was built also a long time ago.
And then see when it's
I did look into it. We cannot film there. It is not for sale.
Right.
So it is what it is. And these other places, yes, you can even stay there. You know, Ankit rents out rooms at his place. So
well, the thing is, it's like if you have a palace with a moat during non-war times, you can clean the moat out and have it as a lazy river.
Right.
And then during war times, of course, you put the alligators and.
Okay, there's your bedroom. Okay, your tiny little bedroom suite for those who want to stay there.
It's kind of small.
Double beds, but they're not bad. They're nice little bedrooms.
I swear they're living like they're watching Dick Van Dyke.
Okay, yep. Dining room for those who want to visit India. Okay, email us. Email Ankit at IBM TV, and he'll get you some accommodations in India.
What is it? Is it $49 a night? Is that this one?
How much is it?
$49 a night.
Yeah, some of them are $49 a night. Ankit does good for people that are members.
I just want to do Airbnb. I don't want a room. I want the whole place.
Yeah, well, that's the plan.
Airbnb it.
For that, we have to do a big fat Indian wedding, and then you'll get a place.
Yeah. Now these palaces and Ankit's palace and all these neighbors are only available exclusively on IBM TV. You will not see it on major media because they don't want to let you know about these places.
You should see the place that Nick Airbnb does for IBM TV or Watson when we were filming at CES, and he Airbnb'd a really nice estate.
Yeah, so a nice little country estate. But see these things, Kim. This is where we're going to.
It was little.
This is where we're going to hang out when we go to.
The place you rented would fit in the middle at the fountain there.
Right, but these are all good accommodations. So,
beautiful.
You know these images that can't be loaded, Ankit. Is that the bunker room? Is that your war room? Is it? Is that where you? Is that the war room just in case the ones that can't be loaded?
Yes. Yes, the war room.
We don't need a war room now.
Well, not until we come over and take over again, obviously, as Nick would tell you, because we like coming to take over things when, times are good. And obviously, it's all Britain's fault,
Jones, exchange them.
Yeah, we do know at the end of the day it is all Britain's fault.
Oh. It's just, I have never been to Britain. I've never been.
I've been to London to visit the Queen. I went to Oxford for an education. They wanted to educate me at this place called Oxford, St. Edmund's Hall. You find out there is no such thing as Oxford. It's a bloody city with all these colleges like St. Edmund's, Magdalen, crazy places like that.
I have a feeling the Queen's going to outlive us all. They did they have a documentary on her. I can't wait to watch it, or I look forward to watching it.
Yeah,
reverbing here, and she's God. I mean, she was there during the war, inspiring people. She's still standing.
She's going to live a long time. I mean, that's what happens. They have these things called royalty over there. And it's a whole different system. As a matter of fact, they like to bow when you go meet with them and all that, kiss their rings and stuff like that. Oh, there's Ankit. Oh, that was a nice picture of your courtyard, your neighbor's courtyard. Because I don't
think anybody's going to be kissing anybody's rings anymore.
Oh, really?
Not after COVID.
I should take my ring off. But yeah. See, this is a nice little courtyard place for one of your neighbors, you know. And yes, you. By the way, all due respect, you can go over there, and Ankit will rent you some rooms. I mean, that's no kidding.
Or a house.
Or yeah, he's got plenty of room available. That's what he told me. So,
of course, one place we no longer rule is Hong Kong. Good afternoon, Rakesh. How are you?
oh, Hong Kong. Yes, Rakesh.
Rakesh.
How are you?
Quietly.
The thing is, Hong Kong doesn't have nice big palaces like that. At least I didn't see it. Do you have any palaces over there, Rakesh?
I don't know, just hotels. That's all.
Yeah. See, the thing is that's the problem. Everybody lives vertically, and
Hotels in Vancouver.
But hotels are very, very good in Hong Kong, I must tell you.
Those hotels, no doubt.
Very
But
good.
no palaces.
How many have you invested in, Sasha?
Sorry?
How many have you invested in? How many Hong Kong hotels have you invested in?
I stayed just in one hotel there, and I
Now,
didn't
how
do
many
invest-
have you invested in? I think you haven't heard because it's hard to hear. How many have you invested in?
do you
in hotels. You
Yeah.
mean? No, I'm not investing in hotels, especially in times like this. Don't
in
think it's a
times
good
like this, I'm not sure if hotels would be a great investment. I would.
But I want to tell you something about Kim mentioned about London, and I want to tell you that I stayed in London 5 days at exactly 9/11. I was traveling from Warsaw with my friend to Toronto. We had stopover in the morning in London, so. No, it was afternoon in London, like 3 o'clock, and it was about 9:30, 10 in Toronto. And I called my wife, Nava, saying that we are going to board the plane. And she said, "You can't even imagine what's happening. Are you crazy? What kind of plane?" I said, hold on, just stop. What's happening? All Manhattan is being bombed. Everything is going to be destroyed. You can't even imagine. And I saw there was nothing in London, nothing happened. The only thing is, I noticed interesting thing, all US bound planes were delayed. Not Canadian. Canadian was boarding on time, but soon enough we found that the Canadian plane also is not going anywhere. So, but what we did, smart thing. First of all, we've met one mutual friend from Toronto. So it was 3 of us. So we immediately got very nice town home right on Kensington Avenue in London, right in the middle of town. It was fantastic place, 3 stories, just meticulous town home. And we stayed there for 5 days until the planes finally started to fly to North America. And it was a time when Buckingham Palace was open. So we went there and spent half day in the Buckingham Palace, and we saw all these places. And we had fantastic time there.
Wow. Sasha, your story reminded me the same morning, 9/11, I was boarding a plane as well to meet with some of the people who happened to have been in the building. And I too, my flight, I had family calling me, "Don't board the plane. What are you doing? Are you crazy?" Because when you're at the airport, you're not watching the news back then. It wasn't like they had TV sets everywhere where you could see the news playing constantly like you do now. So, I was talking to my business associate. We were doing our notes for the meeting, just prepping ourselves. We had no idea what was going on until while I was on the phone, I turned around and looked and I saw the lady at the desk put down her phone and she was crying. And they're trained to remain calm, not to show emotion and contain a situation. And when I saw, because my parents both worked for the airlines when they met, so I learned this. And so when I saw one of the agents crying, I knew something was wrong, and I approached her and asked her if, what can I wasn't panicked. I just said, "What can I do to help? What's going on?" And she announced it, she told us that by that point, there had been 3 planes, 2 that went into the building and another one hit the Pentagon, and they were canceling all flights. That was a devastating day. Something I want to talk about is, how we all pulled together after that day, right? How we united. But you reminded me of that. But, you know, it was a scary moment to even, I went home, I threw my briefcase in the closet because our business deal funding definitely was gone. I wasn't upset over that. I was more upset over the people. But I will tell you this, I did not pull that briefcase out or that plane ticket out for 5 years. I didn't board another plane for 5 years.
Mm.
And it wasn't because I was scared of planes. And it wasn't because it made me so poor I couldn't do it. That kind of impact, right, of what happens. But I, you know, began to travel again, and now I want to see the world again, you know. And I want to go see. I would love to go see all these different countries. And when COVID is over, you know, I'm taking pictures from my post here, but I think it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places I'd like to go to. I'd like to go visit Sasha in Canada, Toronto,
likewise,
and also Odessa in the Ukraine. I think that would be really nice.
Did you see my house in Odessa?
Yes, your house in Odessa was very nice. We'll have to show your house. I'd also like to go visit Rakesh in Hong Kong.
So do you have a picture?
Now, London and Great Britain. No. There's nothing over there. First of all, they never see the sun. I've been there. Okay, I mean, you get depressed just living there. Think about it. Like Ben lives on a foggy little island. Seriously. And so I bet if he goes out right now and looks at the sun, he points his little camera up there, there won't be a sun. What it'll be is this big cloud and fog, you know, because that's what it is over in England.
Can we see Sasha's house in Odessa? Do you have a picture of Sasha?
I have to go find his house.
I'll show it to you in a minute. I just want
do you know how to share the screen and do that?
More about London. I stayed
let's beat up London. Let's beat up London.
In
the Canadians
I stayed in Millennium Hotel in London 2 weeks before, in the same hotel. The Litvinenko was poisoned by polonium and subsequently died. But I stayed in that hotel just 2 weeks before that.
Oh, Sasha, you were in London just before 9/11. You were in London just before the poisonings.
Yep.
I tell you what, mate. You're bad luck to our country. You need to stay out now. You're barred.
Anytime we want to get back at England, we'll send Sasha over there.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Sasha. Okay, Sasha, what you packing in that suitcase?
I have to read this. Wait a moment. I still have troubles. You know, I'll tell you why with 9/11. Because of all these conspiracy theories, in spite of the fact that they know every name, they know where they were trained to fly, to make the flights, and all details. There is nothing good in return. Yet, believe it or not, I personally know 2 grandmasters, chess grandmasters. One of them lives in the United States of America, who honestly believes that it was done by FBI, CRA, and whoever. It's just Americans did it on their own. And I just sometimes I feel like I would like to kill both of them, especially one who lives in the United States. And maybe I'll do it one day. Who knows?
All right. So while you're on that mindset, and I'll bring you over here and show you who to kill. But let's talk about just a little bit about that, because of maybe a lot of the myths or misconceptions of that time frame is that they, and a lot of times, because remember how I shared with you how they can monitor every phone call. They have had for many years with the digital system a means to listen to every call being made, and they would listen for certain words. And if the FBI and CIA were familiar with code words, they would have the system set up to monitor for code words as well. But they were the system was taught a little artificial intelligence to train to listen, and then they would cue in on those. So were they aware that certain people were in this country training to fly planes? Yes. Is that illegal? No. Was that cause for them to detain those people? Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
So there was a thing called freedom, right? And your civil rights, even if you're here on a visa to study something. So there were a lot of reasons why they did not detain these people prior to that happening. Were they monitoring these people? Most certainly, these people were on their radar. So I think that in order to protect our country, there's certain things that have to be readjusted. And I think that they have tried to do so without violating civil rights. But I think that, there's a lot of great movies about what really happened. So there's some truth in those movies. And there's what I call true fiction, right? There's truth and there's fiction to entertain the people as well. But I don't think we'll know the whole truth. And nonetheless, it was all terrorist acts. Okay.
Yeah. And notice they went after the United States and not Russia, but there's a reason for that. I have done research on Sasha Starr. For those I have pictures of Sasha when he was younger. And the thing is, no one wants to mess with this guy. I'm going to show you why. Okay, so the thing is, the pictures of Sasha when he was younger demonstrate that no one here wants to mess with this guy.
Well, don't forget that I served in the Russian Soviet army for 2 years.
I told you. I told you. No one messes with Sasha.
But I want to tell you, Nick, is it illegal in the United States if I would build in my house guillotine?
Probably not. I mean, the thing is, if you want to build a guillotine and put all these torture chambers downstairs in the free United States of America, I'm not going to talk about that Great Britain over there because they're weird over there. They don't even have guns over there. Shoot, we have guns. We have more guns than we have people. Okay, I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. And so, and if you wanted to build a dungeon, a huge torture chamber, and call it the Russian torture chamber in the United States of America, free to do it. You could add some AK-47s to it. I mean, and make it a real haunted house. There's nothing wrong with it. We have freedom here, baby. Okay. Yeah. So the thing is, you're free to do stuff like that. We're not like in Great Britain. It always bothers me. The police run around chasing people. I'm going, why don't you shoot them? We don't have guns. Are you stupid? The first thing you do when you see a criminal or you think you have a criminal or you don't even know you have a criminal, you don't even care if it's a criminal. You take out your gun, you shoot them, bang. And then they drop dead and you go, I wonder if you did something wrong. Figure it out later.
There is a huge problem in Canada. If I wanted to build something like that in Canada, I would have to have a building permits. And to get the building permits for this project would take me probably 5, if not longer, years. To do that, and of course I don't want to.
Yeah. Well, that's Canada. I mean, that's Canada. Yeah. See, Canada, Hong Kong, Britain, all you foreigners that are on right now, you guys don't understand freedom. Okay, let me tell you about freedom. If you want to have an AK-47, and some states even walk out with it. Hey, look, I got AK-47. Hey, open carry, baby. This is the U.S. This is freedom. Now, if you want to build a torture chamber downstairs, by the way, you're giving me a great idea, Sasha. Downstairs, I'm going to put a guillotine together with handcuffs and little knives and all sorts of bad things.
Actually, you can build an elevator, which will go right from the main floor.
Right. And scare the bejeevers out of your neighbors. Sure, go ahead. We have freedom here.
And nobody's going to, and then write taxes off by letting people go through it once a year.
Yeah, because that's recent. Okay, here's the reason why. Nobody wants to invade us. Because the thing is, if they do, they gotta be stupid. They gotta deal with all these people. We have to
you know what you missed in this dungeon. Also, you have to build a reasonable size crematorium.
Oh yeah, right. Well, if you wanted to, you could build the crematorium right next door. You can do all sorts of stuff.
Here in the South to keep the guys away from our daughters. So there's a thing called a shadow box. Do you know what a shadow box is?
Oh no.
Okay, so a shadow box is where you put like little monuments in, right? Little things. And so instead of monuments, we put bullets there. Right? We got a shotgun, it stays by the door. And we got a shotgun and a shovel by the door. And on each bullet is a name. So when the boy comes to pick up the girl, we go, "Do you want your name on this?"
Yeah, I mean, yeah. See, it's
I like the idea of a guillotine.
it's just so different here than it is, and I do watch a lot of those crazy things. There's a Brit TV called Acorn, and you have the BBC. Okay, and they beam in all these shows, and these little coppers chase these people, and I'm going, pull out the gun. Shoot them, and they're not doing anything. They're going chasing them, and the other guy's running away. I said, "You're running away. Turn your gun around and shoot the guy." They don't do that over in Great Britain. It's always like the cops and the robbers have this gentleman agreement that we won't do guns, okay? And instead, they pull out these huge knives. So a guy pulls out a knife. I'm going like, dude, if he pulls out a knife, pull out your gun. They don't have guns over there.
There was one on last night, Nick, funnily enough, and I watched it last night. They've got a button on their radios. It's called Code Zero, and if they press that when they're in trouble, and these people were turning and having to go at it was like they running away, realising there was something to be scared of, stopping, and then having to go back at the policeman. So the police people were just getting, beatings from these things, and like they got no protection. But it was almost like the robbers were running, or the people that had been arrested, running away, stopping and thinking, "I don't need to run away here," and turning around and having to go back.
Yeah, I mean, you guys don't have these old-fashioned shootouts, and I don't understand. Rakesh, over in Hong Kong, that Chinese place, do you guys have guns? Does everybody carry guns?
Yeah, the police have guns.
I mean, the police citizens. Do you guys carry? Do you have your AK-47?
No. My God, who wants to deal with the PLA?
Who's PLA? Who's PLA? I don't know who these PLA people are.
You heard of a liberation army?
No. What are they liberating? Liberating who from what?
They liberate the people.
They what?
Public Liberation. Yeah, it's a
public liberation army or something.
Yeah.
People's Liberation Army. Who are they liberating from what? What's going on over there?
And who's going to liberate from liberators?
It's got to be liberated from Britain, hasn't it, Nick? Sure. I mean,
Okay. You're trying to liberate from Britain. Now that makes sense. That I can understand. We had to do that a long time ago.
This is how free we are. In the United States, you can watch our old westerns that the sheriff and the bad guys would get in a shootout down in the downtown area, right? At noon, high noon, and so the bad guy and the sheriff would just get in a shootout. Whoever wins. So we have this thing called freedom, and the bad guys are allowed to come and shoot at the good guys, and we've been promoting it since I can remember. Yeah. And so there you have it. That's how we have the law in this country.
Population control. If you didn't have guns, you have more population than India.
Dumber population.
that could be true. We do tend to keep our population under control here. Plus, we have coronavirus. Remember, coronavirus doesn't understand we have freedom. So all these masks and things that you guys do, wear masks, socially distance, forget it. We don't do that here.
For you, but by God, I'm not going to wear a damn mask.
Yeah, and let a bug take away from our freedom? Are you kidding me? Bugging will stop me.
But I'm not going to.
You need a virus that can read the Constitution.
We need a virus that can read that Constitution. Say we have the right freedom to assembly.
Keep it on my desk.
Yeah, right.
Anytime someone says anything about the Constitution, they cannot tell me something I cannot read and verify.
Yeah.
I have kept a copy of a Constitution on my desk. Mm-hmm. Majority of my life.
How many people died right now in COVID? Was only 140,000. How many people
died because of the Constitution?
Almost
140,000.
140.
That Constitution's a killer, eh?
Yeah, that's called freedom. So the thing is, you guys have to experience freedom for a while, and then you'll understand. Viruses.
I wouldn't be caught dead with this thing.
There we go.
Nick, but how does freedom works in practice? Okay, you're aware that 6 governors applied to a Congress to stop Trump from sending his
Troops.
troops. Yeah, troops. I mean, they are troops. I mean, what they are.
Okay. In case
How
you guys,
does it just work, really?
okay, in case you guys don't know what's going on here, in Chinese and Britain, you guys, you'll never figure this out. So we have a state government and we have a federal government, and they're different. So since nobody's fighting us right now, and we're not in really great wars, the federal troops are going to start shooting the state troops, and we're going to fight each other, state versus. We did that a long time ago because and that just happens over here because we're looking for something to do. Remember, we have all these guns and they're not being used, and so this way they'll be used. Well, the governors and the federal government sue each other. See, what happens is our governments all sue each other. I don't know if that happens in Hong Kong, whether or not the Hong Kong city sues the federal government, the state government sues the federal government, then the federal government sues the city, they sue the municipalities, and everybody ends up in court, and some judge makes a decision. So that's what goes on over here. It's kind of
this is why we make no progress, right? Yeah. Nobody takes liability. We all point fingers. But the reason why there's been no attempted assassination on the president yet is because of Amendment XXV. Amendment XXV says that the vice president shall become president. So our alternative is scarier.
Yeah, you just get another one that fills in the gap. Hey, but the elections could be really exciting here. My prediction, because I always have predictions, that the elections coming up, first of all, we're going to blame whatever the result is on China and Russia. So already you guys can take the blame. Okay, Utah's going to vote Republican, Trump, so we've already called that one. Okay, and then we won't blame Great Britain because they never seem to do anything here. But it is China's fault or Russia's fault, whoever gets elected and whoever loses. It will be the nastiest election in the world. Okay, and it'll be something that you just have no comprehension about coming up. It'll be the most nasty election you've ever seen coming up. So the election 2020 at the federal, the state level, by November, it'll be the biggest circus you've ever seen. Yes, Ben.
Nick, why wasn't the last election nasty then? Because obviously Trump was involved in that and people knew. I know it got slightly nasty and there was a few revelations towards the election. Why do you expect this one to be nastier?
Oh, yeah, it'll be a lot worse.
It already has been.
This will be the nastiest mother of all elections.
Is it because people didn't expect Trump to win last time and that shocked people?
No, it's because there's more money involved, and there'll be more money, more advertisement, more sway, more name calling, more making up facts that don't exist.
This way,
creating facts that do exist. It'll be a circus. I mean, this thing will be a circus on a national and international stage. It'll be fun to watch, and it'll be.
But it's definitely sorted out and filtered out people who are really friends, because for some reason these Trump followers, they're like, just worshipers. And heaven forbid if you just mention a policy you don't like, you don't even blame Trump for it, and immediately they dive on you with all of this hate and spew, and not one fact out of their mouth. Not one fact. Opinions. But it has quickly allowed me to filter through the idiots of this country and the morons and just the bad people.
And on the left side you have
3 hours a day.
And on the left side you have anarchists and people that believe we should be another Venezuela and a Cuba, and so you have these complete wingnuts who think that the United States is going to transform into a Cuba overnight. So you got two really wings going at each other.
Republicans are just extremely stupid right now, because they're like, if you vote Biden, we're going to become a communist. There's no freaking way this country will become communist, because we have two parties that stay so separated. There's nothing to happen here. The only thing that's going to happen is we're going to have a civil war, and Russia's going to come in and take over while Trump sits behind a fence and rules the world. So that's what's going to happen.
Okay, I want to tell you something very interesting.
26 languages of different kinds of abuse, and then you have the Indian election.
Okay, very interesting detail about what we just discussed. Does anybody knows there is one company trading on New York and Nasdaq Stock Exchange by the name, symbol is SWBI. You know what it stands for? Smith Wesson. Now, in the last few months, in 6 months, their stock went up from $7 to $24.55.
Oh, you just talked about my lawyers too. That's my lawyers.
Yeah, that's the law firm I used to work with.
Mr. Benson is my lawyer. You didn't know that?
Yeah, the law firm Smith and
I'm
Wesson.
going to read something to you about how our country has just violated the biggest civil rights of our country. Amendment number 3. No soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner in time of war, but in manner to prescribe by law. So in other words, we are not allowed to use our military against the people and the public of this country unless the owner of that establishment has requested it. So I don't know if you've been watching our stupid media, which personally, I don't know how much to believe. I have to call my friends that live in that area to go, is this really happening? And some of it is really happening. But no time shall the president exercise his muscle to move our military against any citizen of this country, ever. Unless
that's something
from another country in that area, or unless somebody of that house or that establishment calls the president and says, we really need help.
But it's much worse than that. The problem is now that the 6 governors are actually trying to stop him from doing that.
They should. We should not. So this is the way you protect these establishments from being looted. You do exactly like that Russian restaurant owner did in LA.
Yeah, but the president like Trump, I call him actually, you know how I call him? Geschäftsführer. You like, well, it's like Geschäftsführer in German means CEO, president, the one who conducts the business, so to speak. So Trump is exactly that. So in this case, if he says that, well, I have the right as a president of the United States to do anything what I'm pleased, and this is what I want to do, and send troops to your state, and how the state can defend themselves against someone like Trump, that remains to be seen.
And it does. And I mean, but the thing is that we're using some odd extremities for issues that generally over in the past, century, we were able to control with good leadership, who merely just would come out and speak to people. Even in COVID, you can still come out and speak to people and calm them, right? Reason with them and bring them to, even if they don't agree. Over the years, every president we've had this don't agree, but even in 9/11, we pulled together and agreed, right? But for whatever reason, we have a leadership that has proven to not have the ability to unite us, and that's bad.
Yeah, if you compare in 9/11, say 3,000 people died in this tragic situation, and in coronavirus, it's already 148,000 deaths in the United States.
Right.
So that is perhaps way more dangerous situation. Well, it takes place. It didn't happen.
What I don't understand is why we haven't dispatched our military, medical, and infantry to come out and help control, contain, and treat COVID. Why haven't we done that? Why haven't we set up medical centers that are local to every community so that we can control the spread, right? Why aren't we doing things like that instead of all of this hate that's breeding more hate and anger and more hate and anger? And that, my dear friends, and you guys know this, is your leadership. And, everyone says that, this leader has took us out of a bad economic situation, and that's not true. Everything that he has done has put us into the hole that we're in. And, we just, I'm not going to, if we end up with him for another 4 years, that's just 4 years. I keep telling myself that's just 4 years. And hopefully, it won't kill us. But this 4 years has killed us. And I hope that we rethink, and one day rethink doing away with the political system that we have. I don't think it's healthy for us anymore. I think we've evolved beyond the need of the system. And even our own Constitution says that sometimes we have to change even the Constitution to suit the needs of society, right? It's not, it shouldn't be set in stone. So go ahead, Ben.
The problems we've got in Britain is that people have associated Boris Johnson with Donald Trump as being right wing. Now, normally in politics, the middle ground is the majority, the silent majority that dictate elections, as we all know. That most people are normally left of centre or right of centre, and they're quite straightforward. You're always going to have the extremes. The problem is, though, the extremes now have gone extreme because they've associated themselves with the likes of Trump. And when you think about it, most politicians really are just part of that majority. So the worldwide problems that you've created now and the splits that's been created from Donald Trump's presidency is impacting the whole world now. And that's issues they've got is that people, you're either Trump right, which very little are, to be fair, very few are as far right as Trump, or they're far left, or what was known as Corbynism here. And far left and far right never ever, or you'll very unusually win an election. It's usually just right of centre and just left of centre where the majority sit. And that's the problem that you've created for the whole world. Not yourself, but Trump's created for the whole world is now. If you're right, you're Trump right. And that's incorrect in the majority of places.
Well, I think anytime that, and I agree with you. And the thing is we have to stop doing left and right. We have to stop a two-party system. Two parties keeps you divided. Everybody says it keeps you free. And it does checks and balances. I don't think it does checks and balances anymore. I think that we've given Congress an excuse to do exactly what David M. Walker said. And I will quote it.
Just while you find that, Kimberly, who holds the middle ground in the States at the moment? Is there anybody actually holding the middle ground?
Who actually holds the middle ground? Nobody.
There's your problem.
So that's our problem because our liberal is not strong enough out of fear. But David M. Walker, who worked as the general control general of the United States for 4 presidents, which to me is a very long time. And 2 things he said. Terrorists don't wait to decide to declare war. By the time they attack, it's too late. So we always need to be on our watch. The other thing is we all know, a country divided will be conquered. But the biggest thing that he wrote, to me, the most impactful statement in his book, which I dearly love his book, is Congress works to advance their own careers, period. Any Congress in any country, any government agencies in any country is not there for your benefit anymore. Probably never has been.
But they have to understand you to win that, to work for themselves. Because if they're not in power, they have to. And this is what the Tories did so well in the UK over Christmas, was they grabbed the middle ground. We'll get Brexit done for you, not for us. That was their message. We'll get Brexit done for you, and we'll move forward. And that's what. And when Tony Blair, who was Labour, took over in 1997, we were going through a massive Britpop stage, and Tony Blair knew the middle ground was this new way of living, and he called New Labour. New Labour's now gone, and Labour have only ever won elections when they've been in this middle ground. And it's simple, it really is simple politics. Grab the middle ground, you grab the majority.
But you got to be able to do that in a way that the middle ground feels empowered. And right now, what happens in the United States is the right and the both left feel like if they leave for middle ground, there's not enough. This is their fear.
Well, they end up losing their base.
Oh my God! If 10 of you go down here, then we lost our way. We lost our fight. And so what we're going to have to do is empower that middle ground, so that whoever goes to that middle ground has the comfort of knowing that they haven't left their values.
One of the commentators that was on our show was saying that the U.S. does need to focus their educational system less on the political bickering, which has been going on for years, and more on the education. In other words, learn math, science. In other words, rather than study all these social issues, study how to write code in computers. Do like the Indians do. Educate
Why not just basic health and finance?
Well, yeah, and health and finance. And if you look at it, Ben, and somehow I've been working really diligently trying to blame this on Great Britain, and I'm having a hard time with that. Okay, but because we know we know at the end we know that we kicked your butts at Yorktown. Don't feel bad about that, by the way. Okay, that Cornwallis.
Written a good code, actually.
What?
They quote to people so they don't feel bad of anything.
Oh, they don't feel bad when they lose wars.
It's a balancing of life.
Hey, listen, they felt bad about the Falkland Islands when the Argentinians took it over. They sent a fleet. It took forever. You had to monitor this little fleet going down to the Falkland Islands, and then they took the Falkland Islands back. And I was going, okay, it makes you happy, I guess.
Let's talk about the other problem too.
But remember, Margaret Thatcher. She said before the war actually started, she said to Argentina, "Your nose will be bloody." And she did exactly that.
Yeah, they sent their little fleet down there.
That was a woman after my heart, man.
Remember, it was the first time that carriers were used.
I know they haven't used their carriers. They were going to test them out over in the Falkland Islands. But the problem is here. We like Sasha points out, World Trade Center. Oh, it's huge. It's bad. 2,000 people died. Coronavirus. 140,000 people died. And we're supposed to have the best and the brightest medical system. And in Hong Kong, how many people have died over there? What, 100 people? Malaysia, I hate it when Sharif.
20.
20, okay. Gee, 20 people. Are you kidding me? Get rid of this guy. Okay. We need to see people that have more deaths, around us. In Malaysia, when Sharif gets on, it's really hard to talk to Sharif because Malaysia has 30 million people. They have 123 deaths. I mean, I look at these numbers. We have a staggering 140,000 people. Yeah, we're a little bigger, 10 times bigger. But if we had 10 times the amount of deaths, we'd have 1,200 people die. That would be it. But here's the problem. What?
What does that say about our country? It says two things. We're unhealthy and we don't know how to discipline ourselves.
Well,
unhealthy.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
It's one thing if we get infected, okay, but we're dying with the infection. Our lifestyle really sucks.
Well, that's another problem.
It's too sugar coated.
Yeah. In other words, we do have a lot of problems. We know it's Russia and China's fault. Okay, it's China's fault. They got the disease, and it's Russia's fault because they rigged our election so our leaders would be incompetent. So I figured a way to blame it on China and Russia. I love it.
Russia.
Okay. So the thing is, in reality, here's what happened. The Russians rigged the election to get us a leader who doesn't know what he's doing, and the Chinese manufactured a bug that they knew that once they got there, our leaders wouldn't be able to figure out how to stop it. And between them, I know Putin got together with that Xi Jinping and said, hey, why don't we do this? We'll rig the election, put a bug in, that'll destroy America. And that's really what happened.
They couldn't come and attack us, so they had to kill us with a bug.
we got to figure a way to blame this. But at the end of the day, even though we know it's Russia and China's fault, we got to figure a way to blame it on Great Britain.
These guys have a better chance than we do. Okay, these guys have a way better chance than we do of surviving.
All what Putin trying to do is to save Americans from Hillary Clinton. And they just couldn't believe how successful they were.
And instead, we got death.
Yeah, well, the thing is, right now we've been counting the votes because we sent these absentee ballots in, and for some reason they're all postmarked in Moscow. I don't know why. So the thing is, all these people in Moscow, figure out which leader you want. As a matter of fact, I think what we should do is we should do a TV show for the Russians, and we'll show them the leaders and figure out who they want. I mean, why not?
No, it's pretty sad that the Russians voted more than we did.
And notice India. India is always quiet. They stay out of all the fray. It's amazing. They're staying out. We're staying out with our beautiful palaces, so we don't really care, guys.
No, but should be obvious that India has its problem with Pakistan. And once you have a neighbor like Pakistan, you don't need any enemies anymore. You're okay.
but I thought really all Indians are in Pakistan. There's India and there's Pakistans, which are Muslim Indians. So there's Muslim Indians and Indians, but they're all Indians, right?
Not the same. No.
You know, are they different?
Very different.
Well, I have no clue. All I know is I have a hard time getting Pakistanis to show
All
up.
they have to do is sit back and let all of us kill ourselves, and then they own the world. And you know what? You know who the smartest person is in a gunfight? In a duel? You know who the smartest person is? The guy who hands the guns. There you go.
Wow.
All right? That's the guy who gets the girl at the end of the day. End up killing, especially if he loaded both guns to make sure they work.
Well, at the end of the day, here's what's really going to happen. This will be our new ruler. It'll be these little computers. Okay, it's going to tell us where to go, what to do, how to do it, how to wake up in the morning, when to go to sleep. What?
The Minority Report, The Matrix.
Yeah, I mean, the computers will take over. Yeah, yes, Ankit.
So what I'm saying is the mobile phones are the new CCTV basically. They are capturing each and every move of yours, and then based on that they are reporting, and then they are pushing a lot of ads and a lot of other stuff, which you might not like it, but that's the way forward. So
Yeah,
I mean, we are talking about GDPR, but once 5G is there, I mean, I don't see, how we are balancing GDPR with 5G.
Well, I was in the meeting, and they're not going to take over until 8G. So I was there when they were saying, we're going to stage this at a little time so nobody sees us coming. And then by 8G, we're going to take over. So
yeah, but eventually the computers, as we well know, they took over chess. Okay, they can beat all the chess players, right, Sasha? Eventually, this will be our new president. Which computer you like?
You absolutely must be on Saturday on the chess show. You know who will be my guest?
Who's going to be your guest?
Ken W. Reagan.
Oh, you're kidding me. Professor Reagan's going to be on your show
Professor Reagan
Saturday?
will be my guest on Saturday.
Wow. See, so you guys don't know this guy. This guy was another one of these famous chess players, became an international master. He was an up and rising star in America. Ken Reagan, they quit, which happens a lot, like Stuart Rachel's, and became a professor at University State University in New York, Buffalo, I believe, is where he teaches at.
Absolutely right. And not only that,
this guy did the same thing, and he was on my show.
I know. Alan Treffler did the
he's
same
the
thing.
foremost expert on computer cheating in chess. He's advising FIDE or organizers or so on. And yesterday, when I told him about what's happened in the chess tournament, we will go over on Saturday about that. But I told him that I'm watching very carefully the games from Carlson online tournaments. And what I see happened is that first, say 15 moves, maybe 12, maybe 18, something. So on average 15 moves. First 15 moves, they are demonstrating their memory. What they do, they memorizing either it's AlphaGo, AlphaGo, or Stockfish, or some other very strong engine, and they demonstrate their memory. First about 15 moves, they're made exactly that. So that level of play of first 15 moves is on the level of probably 2,900, if not higher. However, once the memory stops there and they start to play their own game, the level deteriorates to around 2,450, 2,500 level. And I asked him straight, what is your opinion on that? And he told me, I agree with you 100%. That's what I analyzed, and that's what I came to the same conclusion. So there is no disagreement between us at all.
And I think he'd be great to have on IBM TV. I think, that's certainly, I always want to listen to Ken Reagan, and I know Stuart Rachel's is also going to be on our TV show. I mean, these are really top chess players now, top professors in the world. There's another guy, Ken Rogoff, who became a grandmaster and now was a chief economist for the United States. Now he's an economist at Harvard, but he was a grandmaster. Ken Rogoff's story is quite interesting.
Ken Rogoff was a world
junior champion. Then he quit and he became one of the world's leading economists. I think he would be a great person
Oh,
to
I've
have
seen
on.
him on CNBC on several programs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've seen him on
fantastic.
CBN and other programs like that. But there will become a time, because remember, computers are starting to take over. You're going to get to vote for president of the world. It's either going to be Stockfish or it's going to be AlphaGo.
So the chatbots, now that you can train the chatbots to go negotiate for you, we're working on that. And now the chatbots, they're going to sit there and they're going to think like you, right? And now they're going to go out and just vote for you. They're going to say, you know what? Don't worry about this, Kim. Stay at home. I'll go vote for you. So my chatbot's going to go out. But here's what they do. You know, so in 4G, I think it was 4G, they trained the system to be able to watch you shop. Okay, everything that you bought and shopped. Then they added into the system a means to GPS a store, so that when you walked down a certain aisle and stood in front of the Campbell Soups area, a coupon would pop up on your device and say, hey, here's 50 cents for that tomato soup can that you like to buy. That's how they were training the system, so that you would learn to rely on it to the point that you didn't even have to program it yourself to tell it what you liked. It would become your, here's the thing, it would become your concierge without you even having to tell it what you liked. It would monitor you and watch you. Oh, by the way, Kim, it's time for you to go get your glasses, and we know that you like these kinds, so and they're having a sale over here. Oh, by the way, Kim, you haven't bought this in a while. I didn't like that. I sat in the meeting and I kind of freaked out a little bit. Even though I helped build artificial intelligence, I didn't want to.
And you know, it's changing so much that they're making people that like robots look like robots. Matter of fact, we've developed that over in India. Ankit over there, he's really a robot. You guys just don't know that.
And I developed robots.
He's a computer-generated image that just knows how to talk.
Tell you what, Nick, that's the cutest pepper I've seen yet.
There's only one way. There's one way that you can get around all this, and you've missed the point. Go back to a Nokia 3310. That'll sort it all out. Get the game Snake on. There'll be none of this then. Nobody will know what you're up to or anything.
We can just go back to this. This works for me. And you know what, Nick? I know Ankit's not the computer yet because Pepper can dance and Ankit can't dance. So
I know how to direct the dance basically, but it's difficult to dance.
He performs. So.
But Kim, when you talk about chatbots, I'll tell you something. I mean, there is one more concept called geotagging, where you can target your audience at a particular location with the framework of a radius, and then if the person is if that particular people or a group of people are using YouTube or any of the media, we can target that media and you can post your coupons to that people within that geotagging location only. So you don't have to tag for everyone. You can targetedly tag for people who are in Durham, California. Oh, sorry, South Carolina.
I got another idea for chatbot. Matchmaker. So the chatbot will go out and he'll start looking at all of the people's matchmaking abilities. And he goes, oh, by the way, Kim, while you're walking through the airport, XYZ is here. I mean, it wouldn't be for me because I'm not available. But I'm just saying, if you're available and you're looking for somebody, the chatbot could go out and look for somebody else for you and go, oh, my God.
So that's also possible. We have a digital twin concept where people matchmake based on the digital profile of yours. And then if you need someone, a co-founder or anyone, I mean, based on that, they will filter it out and then they will showcase those people on your dashboard or wherever you want to do.
But
so we can implement that on chatbot as well.
But this will be better. This will be better because this is going to be based on your real activity. So it's going to be the truth. You know how people fake what they say about themselves? Well, this is going to know Kim really goes to the gym every day and works out. Kim really goes swimming Kim really eats that Snickers bar every day.
Check.
Right. It's going to say Kim really goes shopping. You know, it's going to say all of these things because it was really there watching you. So the chatbot is going to be the honest matchmaker.
So Nick, I got a complaint from one of our viewers and they wanted to know that why we always talk about America, India, Hong Kong, Canada, why we don't talk about UK and why we don't talk about people who are living in UK.
Talk about the UK.
we don't know anything about United Kingdom and who are the popular people there and what are they doing and all those stuff because Ben never mentioned about them.
Well, Ben,
It's our fault. Everything's our fault, Ankit. We know this now.
Nick, we can't hear you.
That's the best that's happened today.
Check the lead, basically.
Look,
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to answer that question. Okay, I'll answer that question. Okay, first of all, nothing interesting happens in Great Britain and the United Kingdom. Okay, so your viewer needs to get this. It is one of the most boring countries in the world. Okay, if you're bored to death, you go to Great Britain. Think about it. It's fogged in. They don't have guns. They chase each other like that. It's not interesting at all. We have NCIS, baby. People get out guns. They mow each other down and all this other stuff. I mean, blood and guts all over the place. We have coronavirus big time. The biggest coronavirus. There's nothing interesting in Great Britain. It's a tiny little island stuck in a fog. So there's no reason to highlight Great Britain on any of our shows. Now we bring Ben in because we need our token person from the United Kingdom, and he volunteers to get abused here. So he shows up because at the end of the day, you do need a fall guy for anything that goes wrong, and we always know it's Great Britain's fault. So you can,
Nick, but let's admit one thing.
Wait! I think he wants to respond. I didn't know they did that over there.
You know that mute button you put on Nick about 2 minutes ago? Can you put it back on for me, please?
I was just giving the viewer the answer. I mean, the thing is, they need to know why we don't cover Great Britain. It's covered with fog. Why do we want to cover with that? I was there for a summer. I got depressed. I never was depressed in my life until I was there. I'm going, why do I feel so bad? I looked up. I said, well, I've been here for like a month. I've never seen the sun. I was going, you can't see the sun over there. I said, the place is fogged in. This is a miserable experience. So I went to France. France was great.
Nick, let's admit one thing, though, that it's a common problem for all the English-speaking countries like US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and I think maybe a couple of other countries. The problem is that centuries ago, English sent to these countries their most awful stock of people, criminals, idiots, and we're all descendants of them.
You're talking about Australia, mate. They all went to Australia.
Only criminals, yes, that's true. Australia is a pure criminals. There is nobody but criminals. Slightly better situation maybe in Canada and US. Not much better, but a little bit better, yeah. Because in Canada they sent criminals, but they also sent people to look after these criminals. So those people, at least, they were not criminals, and because of their social status and better well-being, they had more children than criminals, and so on. So Canada became somewhat civilized. It will take a couple more centuries, and Canada will become really advanced society. Not there yet, even close. Now in US, well, you tell me what's happening in US.
We come from everywhere. As a matter of fact, my ancestors settled here in 1665 from a place called the Netherlands, which was the New York. They went to New Amsterdam in 1665, and then the bloody Brits took it over, which typically happens. And then at Yorktown, we kicked them back out, and then they went back to their foggy little island. Now, if you can think about this, okay, if you lived in a foggy island, you want to get out of there. That's the real reason they went to India. India had sun. They had no sun in Great Britain. They went to the Falkland Islands. It had sun. They went to the United States and Canada. It had sun. No sun. The sun never rises in Great Britain. So that's the real reason for them going out. Went to Malta. They went to Gibraltar. Any place to see the sun. Because the minute they left their little foggy island, they looked up and go, oh, it's sunny. It's nice. And whatever in the world, it was like that. And that's true. Go look at Great Britain. It's always fogged in. You fly your plane in, it's fogged in. You leave, it's fogged in. It is what it is.
I thought they went to North America to grow corn for their horses.
Oh, well, we had corn. We were the land of opportunity. I mean, we were the land of freedom, baby. Freedom. That's the reason they came.
We have places like that here in the United States. One of them is called Mendocino, and they film there quite often to imitate England and Europe and stuff like that. It's foggy, misty, beautiful. Murder, She Wrote was always filmed there. I've stayed at the hotel where they did a lot of filming. Very beautiful, very lovely, very quaint. So I think I want to go see. Where Ben lives and learn more about it, because that's where my ancestors are from. Some of them, anyway, not all of them. Some of my ancestors were naturally from the United States. They were Native American Indians, and
I'm just letting you know it's gonna be fogged in. No sun. You'll be there for a day or two and go, hey, how do you get out of here?
Sasha goes in a good mood, so that we have no national catastrophes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sasha, when Kimberly comes over, just let us know where you are, so we can make it safer for Kimberly, because obviously something will happen if you're in the UK. I mean, this IBM TV, we've got Sasha, who brings bad luck to the country. We've got Jim, who pops everywhere for food but never eats what the locals are eating. You got to work this channel out. It's brilliant.
Okay, well, it is growing, and we've added some people from Australia as well as Willie, and quite interesting. And one of my favorite things is to hear from him why he would move somewhere, and it's usually based on the food. So he likes to go to places.
Which is another reason you don't go to Great Britain. Okay, we'll add that to the list. Okay, there's good food in India. There's great food in China. Does anyone go to see British food? Are you kidding me?
I am coming back on that
Fish and chips? Are you serious?
I love it.
It's a British contribution to a world cuisine. It's a fish and chips.
No, where's my mate?
All right, you got it.
Where's my mate Jim? Because he came to London for the Indian. My mate Jim came to London to eat the Indian food. So
to give you an idea how bad the food is over in Great Britain, he went to London and he had to have Indian food, because Indian food's good. It's curry. It's wonderful. Hong Kong and Chinese food. I mean, come on. Orange chicken is great. British food. What? Are you kidding me? That's what it is.
So you know that US is good for marketing. I mean, they market very well. What's popular, or what is Britain popular for, or what is it good for?
What Britain is good for? Good question.
Cucumber sandwiches.
I love cucumber sandwiches.
Yeah, cucumber sandwiches with the crust cut off. Fish and chips, cup of tea. Of course, we won the war on tea. Good cup of tea. They're all fighting outside, and all the leaders were like, "No, we'll have a cup of tea first before we sort this out." It's a far better way than all this guns and stuff. We'll have a brew together. I
agree. Sort it out over a cup of tea. I like that.
In the movies, they do that all the time. Where you get these Brit movies, they're sitting fighting, they're killing each other, but of course they don't have guns. Then all of a sudden, 10 o'clock. Would you like some tea? Like, dumb. Are you kidding me? Tea in the middle of a battlefield? I mean, that's what they do over there. Ben knows that.
Speaking about tea, I must tell you about Hong Kong. We stayed in Peninsula Hotel, and it's far the best tea, afternoon tea in the world. It's just something else. It's like a meal. They give you sandwiches. They give you all kinds of things. And guess what? String quartet up there. Somewhere in the balcony, they have a string quartet and they're playing beautiful Mozart and so on. Then in the evening, we went to ask for the best place for Peking duck. So it was a fancy restaurant. We went over there. It was only two white people, me and my wife, in that restaurant, and we had 8 people serving us. 8 people. You can't imagine.
How big was the duck? How big was the duck?
No, that was pretty awesome. Yeah, it's one of the best I've ever eaten.
It was Donald Duck.
Yeah.
Donald Duck.
King Duck. I've never, not one of my favorite all-time foods, but I've had it a few times and actually learned how to cook it. One of the few things I learned how to cook in life. But it's not my favorite. It takes a long time to prepare Peking.
Yeah. Yes. Do you know how to prepare good fish and chips?
Yes, I do actually.
Yeah.
You don't
need to go to London.
I do, because I live in the South where we fried food. So I do know how to make, and I know how to make the chips. But sometimes instead of potato chips, we make eggplant chips. They're tiny eggplants about the size, and we slice them like chips, and we batter them in the light batter and fry them lightly, just like chips, and they're really good.
Don't forget, food wise, we did send you Gordon Ramsay. So come on, we need a bit of cake.
He's a bit expensive. You can have him back.
Oh no, you keep him. Honestly, it's a present. It's a present. You keep him.
You guys are bad about giving Americans the bad people for presents. You know that. The people that you sent over here to take over America, I think they were the criminals. And I think you just threw the little war just to make sure we would stay and be happy. I'm serious. I think that everyone you sent over here and said, yeah, you guys go over there and start another country away from us. I think they were the bad guys.
They were actually selling it over here like this was the great world of opportunity, the land of the free, milk and honey, anything to get the people to leave Britain. And they wanted to leave anyway because they didn't see the sun, so they took off.
And we didn't arm them, so we're trying to change your culture for you there, you see. We didn't send them with guns.
That's
Obviously now you sold them guns because that's your culture over there.
Well, the Indians didn't sell them guns, I will tell you that.
Yeah, we'll see what happened. And India has arrived.
So Ben, I wanted to know that Commonwealth Games is something which Britain, did for like every 4 years. So how important is Commonwealth Games from Britain as compared to other countries like India and all those things? Because Commonwealth is where British rule the country, and then they have formed everyone to now play sports with each other. So
well, it's not a request to come and play sports with us. It's more of a demand. Because obviously we rule, so you're demanding the Commonwealth Games, Ankit. It's local to me actually, Birmingham. In 2 years' time, it's only a half hour up the road. And we'll let you have some of them plates to throw. Discuses to throw. The stones as well. We'll take you right back centuries and give you stones rather than shot puts. So. It's the way Birmingham is, really. It'd be interesting games. The marathon will be quite quick through the middle of Birmingham. You'll have to run quite quick to avoid all the trouble in there and things and the rush hour and stuff. So, we've got to get all done by rush hour as well, of course, So, because that marathon, you can get run over and things. So, we can't wait for it.
There you go. But you know what I think is going to be fun, Nick, is when COVID's over, we're going to tour the world and go visit all of our friends and see how they live in their country, enjoy the food, enjoy the conversations in person, and each of them can join us, right? We're not going to do this by ourselves, but we're going to take off in our lovely whatever plane we can get. And we're going to travel around the world and visit with all of you. And that's what's going to make this fun. But but think about this. Where else have people been able to unite together to talk about all of these things in a positive way? There's so much out there going on where they're fighting over it, pointing fingers over it. Nobody's really trying to fix anything. And Rakesh, have you read this month's National Geographic yet?
Not yet. I haven't got it. The latest one.
So it's August. It would be August. And the reason why I bring this up is in there they actually talk about two scientists, and I forget their names right now, and I shouldn't, but there were two scientists who were rivals. Complete rivals professionally, but patriotically. One was from France and the other was from Germany. But during the time of war, when they were the most biggest rivals of all times, they pulled together the resources to solve major problems for humanity and for health. Okay.
Wow.
And during war, these men should have hated each other, but rather hate each other, they joined together. They professionally competed against each other. Like it was like, oh no, you're wrong. But
that is exactly what I want to target with my site, Math Plus Science. I'm, I was just updating it today, and that's exactly what I want to target. That science underlies the unity of all human beings.
But the will to do better. right? Not to use science against each other, but to use it together to help
use it together, because we're on a spaceship. This is not a planet, it's a spaceship, whirling around another spaceship, which is giving us the energy to live. And if we start fighting one another, we're going to be, it's the silliest thing to do.
So, Rakesh, I'm going to give you a very silly book to read. It's called Horton Hears a Who. And this book changed my life and the way I view the world.
Okay, let me write it down.
It's called Horton Hears the Who, and it's written by, oh God, my brain just, it's a kid's author, The Cat in the Hat.
Yeah. What was his name? Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss. So he was a doctor. So Dr. Seuss wrote Horton Hears a Who. It's a quick read, trust me. But it's one of his longer reads. And you could watch the movie. They've got them everywhere. But it's interesting the way we analyze Earth, right? But what other organisms could be Earth that we don't see with the naked eye? So these are answers, like what you're saying. We're just another spaceship. I think you are absolutely right. We're just another living organism, but we need to learn to live together. But this month's National Geographic, it's really good. It's very short.
I'm looking forward to that. I think it should be coming around now. Usually comes to me early in the month, so it should be, or late the previous month. So it's about time.
Yeah, I usually get it 1 week before the first of the next month, right? So if it's in August, I get it the week before August starts. And
it comes to my father-in-law's place, and this Sunday we didn't go there.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I didn't get it.
So we've been big about sharing that book ever since I was a girl. Well, not a girl, but young. By my husband's family, they would share the book. And so it was a big thing in the family. And then I learned somewhere that if you wanted to pass the SATs, there were a few magazines that you should read. One of them was listed as the National Geographic. The other was Time, right? The Time magazine. And then they always referenced the New York Times if you wanted to, be that they felt like it was at the time the most credible media resource. So they were listing these things as things to help you learn how to, I guess, educate your mind to pass the SATs. I took a different route. I went education where I didn't have to take the SATs. So I took what you call an entry exam, and then they tell you where to start classes to teach you how to get into, which I think is better than the SAT. I think entrance exams are so much better because they teach you what you need to learn to be able to do what you're going to study. And to me, it was better. So,
so do you think, do you believe in open book exam or general exams without books? What do you think?
It depends on who sets the paper. I had one professor who offered us a choice, an Indian professor, Professor Fadke, and we all opted for open book. He said such a difficult paper, it didn't make any difference. Okay. But he said, so the next exam, we said we'd have the closed book one.
So I once saw a teacher and every one of her students could ace any exam, but she never taught by the book.
Yeah.
But she did not teach them how to pass the test. Okay. She taught them how to use all of their resources to be able to answer questions. And that was probably the best teacher I have ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. And they fired her because all her students were acing the test. They said that they could not have an educational system where every student excels, that there has to be a bell.
That is weird. I had a math professor who made a whole class pass in math, and we had that was at the high school level. The whole class passed with nobody got less than a first class. And he was famous in the school. And it was a new system, and we passed. We had 100% result. Nobody failed. And I'm amazed that they have this reaction to a person like that. He studied in New York University. He was a priest, and he came to New York University. He did his PhD in teaching math, topped the course, and came back to India and started teaching us. Became an advisor to the central government. And I'm surprised that they fired a teacher so wonderful.
So, but then let me ask you this: do they still teach on his basis?
Yes, they do.
Great results.
They do.
Awesome. That is good. That is good. We don't.
One more thing. I mean, what I'm not sure about the other parts of the world, basically, but we don't get that much amount of appreciation for teachers. There are no awards, there are no accolades, nothing for teachers, basically, until unless a teacher become an author.
Yes.
But if it's still the teacher, there is nothing for teachers, basically.
True,
and there is no platform, no workshop, nothing like that. And also, if a teacher wants to improve, there is no training courses. Apart from a business training, there is nothing for teachers. And then people expect that they turn around the world, which is not possible.
Correct. You're very, very right about that, Ankit.
In the United States, a teacher is the lowest paid, the least respected individual, and it shouldn't be that way. They should be paid above sustainability, and they're not. And they should be more respected, and they're not. They're told to bow down to the students rather than the students respect them.
That is so odd. That is so odd.
It was like that. It was like that until COVID-19 in the UK. Teachers weren't respected, but COVID-19 and the kids being at homeschool has made us realise how valuable teachers are. It has, honestly. Homeschooling is just put them in a different light now. I mean,
I'll tell you one more thing. I mean, what's happening in India? Teachers are being trained to use Zoom and other platforms so that they can teach the students online. Because a lot of teachers are not aware about the infrastructure, and they are teaching them how you have to take care of the students and how you have to take the attendance and all those stuff. Because students are very smart in India. So suppose if I'm a student of some class, and then Ben is one of my teachers, so I will showcase that I froze down, my internet is not working, so I will not move. And then when teacher asks the question and I'm not moving, that means my internet is down. But now what happened is that someone walks behind from my camera and teacher says, someone else is moving and you're not moving. What's happening?
The problem with the whole education system, though, Rakesh, going back to what you said, is people have to be in that system for it to be profitable. And if you do have everybody succeeding all the time, people drop out the system. It's no longer needed after a certain age or a certain time, and that is why they don't want everybody passing and succeeding. It's not the fact that people are people have this intelligence level. The teachers are too good. It's the fact of money. Schools make money from governments.
Let me ask you this: do you think that it would be incentive to say to the children, if you succeed in your grade school up to high school, right, and you succeed and do well, and maybe you do some extracurricular activities, do you think that the children would be inspired to learn more and do better if you told them that their college education for 4 years would be free?
Kids are inspired anyway. Children inspire others as well.
I would agree. So kids are generally enthusiastic.
The issues is not with the children. The children will do what they're told to a certain, and they'll probably do more of what they're told at school than they will in the household, because it's the getting used to the parents, etc. You've grown up with them. You can know how far to push your parents to have a laugh with it. I mean, my 8-year-old is a great exploiter of that in a very funny way. She knows she makes me laugh at everything she does. Same as the 5-year-old. They make me laugh, and I can't tell off my children. I'm one of those that just bursts out laughing. But at school, you see that they've got that they can't push it so far, so they have to go and do it. But then it inspires them to do it because they're like, well, you're a teacher, I'll look up to you, so I must do what you tell me. So it's the problem isn't in the system. The system is the problem, but the problem isn't in the system, if that makes sense.
Nope.
That's the point. I'm glad
you asked him to come on.
It's my first contribution.
So, Jim, welcome to IBM TV Celeb Tuesday. And before we start anything, I would like to play something for you. Just hold a moment.
Oh, this is just for Jim, by the way.
And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we'd like to give to you today Jim Eade with.
I feel like part of the IBM TV family.
Here's what I told Ankit. Okay, and this is the absolute truth. I said Jim doesn't deserve that intro. It's too good. What we're going to try to do is we need to make it a lot worse. So I'm going to send it to our friend Ben in Great Britain. They're good at destroying things. And they'll make it a lot worse for you.
But Ankit, you still have 1 pound equals 1 pound. That's Ben's influence. It's 1 pawn equals 1 pawn.
That British influence, but
I like 1 pound equals 1 pound. I thought you asked for that. I knew what he was saying. But
I wanted to mention 1 pound is equal to $1, but I thought that let's mention 1 pound is equal to 1 pound with different colors.
No, I thought it was this actually. Because you're always.
I thought he spelled pawn wrong, but that's okay.
There you go. I thought that's.
Nick, the influence the influence
on words, pawn, pound. I thought it was a twist. I loved it.
Jim, tell us about your show coming up today. You have a great show, from what I understand, a good lineup. What's going on today?
Yes, I have Stuart Rachels, who was a former U.S. champion and probably the least likely U.S. champion because he was the lowest rated player and he's going to talk about his new book, The Best I Saw in Chess. And he's a philosophy professor in Alabama. And my show is called Chess Without Borders. And man, California and Alabama could not be two completely different places. So I want to, bring in somebody from a faraway place like Alabama.
Right. Yeah. See, for those guys who don't know, Alabama believes in family values, growing up, good values, and then there's California, which is the land of nuts and fruits.
It's the modern family values.
So they have a whole different system over there between California and Alabama being part of the same union. Is kind of hard to believe, but it is what it is over here. Yeah. So yeah, it's Chess Without Borders. I think has a great intro. I really loved it. I don't know who did it. I don't know how. Did you do that, Jim? Your computer guy.
Ankit takes all the credit for that. Yeah,
Ankit. All the good stuff is made in India.
And he sent it to Ben, and Ben put in instead of 1 pawn equals 1 pawn, he put 1 pound equals 1 pound.
Yeah, I know. That's the British review.
Hey, that's how we are influenced by Britishers till now. I mean, it's been like 70 years, but still we are influenced by Britishers.
But I got an intro now. I feel
you have an intro. Okay, now here's the important part. Do you know how to play it on the IBM TV system?
No way.
You got to press the right buttons. Ankit, are you going to have to help him with the buttons?
We'll have a class.
We never
more than one class, too. I need beginner.
But Nick, we never allocated buttons to Jim as of now. So we have to allocate some buttons.
So Jim follows the #1 rule that I gave before you do a show. And when you do a show, you have one rule. Then we start teaching the other rules, how to open and close and stuff. But he follows the #1 rule I give everybody. Don't pick your nose.
For all those people that are interviewing for jobs here, that's how you get hired.
No edits. Do not edit. Please don't pick your nose. I'm just.
It has a 3-second delay.
Is that introduction easily adaptable for Jim's new show, Food from Around the World? Where he does foods from around the world. Is it adaptable for that one? Where's the best Indian again, Jim?
Where's the best
London? The best Indian food is in London. No
question. Indian food is in London. There is no good food.
I can't wait for this show. Jim's food from around the world.
Yeah.
Mexicans and
You know what? I don't want to. I'm kind of happy with
The best fish and chips are in Paris.
I'm not.
Fish and chips in Paris. Oh man, I don't think I'm traveling with this guy. I told you the people in California, they're weird.
So then, what about the best British food?
Ooh, good.
That question's to Ben, right?
No, that's to
for
you,
you.
Jim.
That's for
Oh,
you.
to me. The best British
Your
food
food.
Is India food?
has to be seafood. It has to be seafood.
Ankit, it's in Simla.
And also, I have to say, when I ordered the fish and chips, I understood the fish part, but I didn't understand the chips part. I mean, what were they doing?
So Ben, explain to us what makes the fish so good in fish and chips, and why aren't the chips what we expect?
Fish is just freshness. It's we have a very quick system with the fish in the UK. Literally comes out the sea straight to the plate almost that day, and I think that's any food that makes the difference.
Yep.
Chips. I'm sorry they're not fries. I'm sorry they're not as thin as McDonald's fries, but we like chunky chips. And they taste better.
They drown them in vinegar. That's all I know.
I do too. I love them in vinegar.
Yeah, well,
I'm sorry, didn't reach your standards, Jim. I mean, maybe it's because they were UK chips in the UK. Maybe Jim was looking for the French chips in the UK. I don't know.
No. There's a thing in the United States called Pepto-Bismol. It was invented to take care of British food.
yeah.
Okay, but anyway.
The best French dressing I ever had was in London.
So somebody says the best British food is in Durham, and so I'm going to have to talk to this guy and find out where that restaurant is. Mark,
But we have time for a commercial. I think Lynn Shepard from the Dollar Store has arrived. It's always a good time for a commercial.
Where's the best British food? Where's the best place you've ever had British food, and what is it?
Probably the best place was in London. I mean, I'm not quite sure that we have what I would characterize any British food here in the United States that I know of, at least not in the Philadelphia area. We have lots. Yeah, we have lots of. Well, we do have German food. Actually, my wife lived there for a year as an exchange student. Every time she came to dinner at my parents' house. My mother always wanted to make her German food, and after a year of eating German food, she couldn't stand it. It was it was probably the wrong thing for my mother to do, but at least she lived through it and married me. Anyway. So here's, let's talk about the dollar store because I am on a short leash and I apologize to Ankit for being late. Our family owns the Family Dollar Store. We're an online dollar store. We're supporting the mission of Money Masters PBS. And that mission, of course, as people have heard me say, but for those of you who haven't, it's to provide financial education and financial fitness to narrow the gap between poverty and financial sustainability. We love the mission and we're really excited to support the mission. All of the profits that we make through the month of August, and I'm going to extend that to September. So all of the profits that we make through September are going to be given to Money Masters PBS in support of that mission. We invite you to go on to IBM TV's website, click on the big round button. Well, we're right on the Dollar Store website right now. And we do have some new stuff, by the way. We have some new CBD products. So everybody ought to take a look at the new CBD products because we have about 4 or 5 of them. Didn't count them, but there you go. So you can see the first 3 there are new, and keep scrolling down, whoever's doing the scrolling. So we have 5 new products. So take a look at them. We still have our old standards, such as the lidocaine patch, the CBD lidocaine patch. I know Jim is very used to using these now because of playing Sasha with chess. So he uses them ahead of time on his head. But the fact is we have some great products here. They are not cheap products. They are good products that you can get less expensively than you can get them elsewhere. So please shop on the website. Help us support Money Masters PBS and the mission. If you sign up between now and the end of the month, so that's only 3 more days, you get $5 worth of extra gift tokens. Just by becoming a customer, you get $5 worth of gift tokens. We will give you 5 more so you can shop on the website. And basically, your first delivery might only cost you $15 instead of $25. Now, we do have masks, and I always look for Jim to hold up his box, but here's my box of face masks.
Well,
They cost $25 a box of 50. They're 3-ply, so they're very protective. They're over 90% protective. And that's what's very important. What Jim is going to do here is protect us from getting any computer viruses. So keep it on, Jim, and please protect us. But in any event, if you use your first $5 worth of gift tokens, they're only going to cost you $20. And if you use the second $5 that I give you, they're only going to cost you $15. So, Jim, you're going to have to tell me how much that is. I think I know, but if it only costs you $15 for 50, how much is it for a mask? And while
I'm got my calculator out.
Well, we knew it was. What is it, Ben?
Can't hear you, Jim. Sorry, I was just saying we can't hear you. Take your mask off.
I hear you, Jim.
So
we have over
it's 30 cents.
30 cents. There you go. Okay. So I tell you, Jim is right on the money all the time. We love it. So anyway, here's the thing. Mark, I saw Mark's head just pop up on the side. Mark knows we now have over 4,300 items. So I can't tell you how many Mark hasn't looked at yet. Last time I heard it was 4,119. So we know it's at least more than 181 that Mark still has to do to get to the end. It's sort of like looking at the internet, I think, and saying, I just saw the whole internet. But look at the products: Caress, Dove, Dial, soaps. We have Jim's favorite, Irish Spring. Dove, by the way, creates more suds. So as a result, you want more suds to get rid of the sheath that surrounds the coronavirus. We have stuff for kids. We have lots of great products for kids. Johnson & Johnson, Fisher Price, Sesame Street, just to name a few. And if your kids can't go to school, then get them some games from the website so that they learn how to play at home. Something we all did when we were young, but now the kids today, they all have these things, and this is all they want to do is play with their cell phones. But my suggestion is, why not use your head? Oh, here we go. Here's for Mark. We have the super meal. We have the Tangy Zangy.
Oh my goodness.
Love the Tangy Zangy. Let me just tell you, they sell those at the regular brick and mortar.
Are they as good as Snickers?
No, they're real soury type candy that kids love. No, it's not my kind of candy, but kids love it.
Okay.
Yep. And Mark, Mark knows we have cookies because he buys the cookies. And so people need to really look around the site. There's lots of stuff, but oh my goodness gracious, look at all that food. So if your kids are going back to college, so I'm going to send the link to my second oldest grandson, who will be a senior at UNC Charlotte this year, and there you go. In computer engineering. So
wow.
Yeah, so he's going to have stuff delivered to his place. So I don't want to know what he does with it when he's finished. If you'd ever gone to the apartment of my oldest grandson, we were just talking about it last night at dinner when he was here for dinner. You wouldn't have want to go near that place because that's kids. But college kids don't care, right? So what we need to do is to buy them a bunch of these napkins, because what napkins do we have? Come on, Kimberly.
So you know what? Don't send your kids away to college without these, right? And I'm
Yep.
going to tell you what, they're here on site. Join the Minion Club. I'll send you some extra dollars. If you send me a picture that you bought the Minions, I'll send you some extra dollars. Because you know what? We need to keep them making Minions. You know,
Yep.
but Minions make us happy. And you know what's interesting about these napkins? I know this sounds stupid, but they actually make them look funny on the back. Like, you know, most napkins don't go to that extra mile, but the Family Dollar store does. So, you know, you not only, you know, laugh when you're wiping your face this way, but you can laugh that way. And what's life during this time without having something to laugh about? And I'll tell you what, the dollar store won my heart the minute I saw that. I don't know why.
Those Minion napkins are just wonderful. They do put a smile on your face. But Gav can teach y'all about something, because you said you had a grandson or grandkid that was going to college, and I saw that the dollar store sells every college kid's favorite food. It is a requirement in college. It is mandatory in college. I want to know, does Jim know what I'm talking about? Because I saw it when he scrolled down. It was everybody's survival food in college.
Ramen was mine.
You got it, Jim. You got it.
My wife will be ecstatic about seeing that.
I wish we'd had it when I was in college.
Yeah.
Our cook basically, I loved her. She was a wonderful woman, but our food, horrible. So it, you know, it was like chewing on leather most of the time.
But if you carry pizza and ramen get you through college.
Yeah, pizza and ramen. What was cool about ramen is we would go to the Asian store market and buy a case of the ramen noodles, and I think they probably cost us a penny a pack. And you know, that one pack would make a bowl like this big, right? Yeah. And that, you know, that was great. And my other means of survival was a little bitty chicken store. And Mark, you'll know this, I hope. Churches.
Yep.
And
Churches fried
on
chicken.
Campus, and Churches is probably the best fried chicken to this day.
Yeah.
The best fried chicken served in a fast food restaurant. Bojangles
Church was a big supporter of chess.
Well, and Churches actually is a big supporter of families. And I hate to see them struggle during this time because, you know, they don't get a lot of support. But the food, they would, for $1, I would get a piece of chicken, a little side, and some water. And I was a very poor student. You know, what money I made had to go to all of my college and you know, maybe something to wear. But for $1, that fed me for a day. Oh, it was a biscuit. They make the coolest biscuits. I don't know if you guys know this, but they make the coolest biscuits. So for $1, you know, I could eat, and that food filled me up for a day. Every once in a while, the guy behind the counter was kind enough to give me a glass of tea, and not charge me extra. And I thought that was, and he would never charge me tax. He would just take my $1 and tell me, you know, he would never. So there was something good about Churches, not just the food. It was the people. And there's only one Churches in this area, and it's in Durham.
That's a little bit of a drive for you, but you can go there for lunch.
Well, I go there because it's next to my my treatments. So
there you go.
So I book my treatment so that when my treatments are over, Churches is open, and I pull in. But the ramen noodles, Churches was great but Churches was in Charlotte, is what I'm saying. So
there you go. Okay. So when I was in school, we drove. I was in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and we drove from the south side to the north side, and there was this place that I'd never heard of before that served hamburgers for 13 cents.
My gosh, where was this?
This was in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It was called McDonald's. So you have to remember, you know, I went to school in the 1800s. No, the truth is, I mean, maybe it was 15 cents. I don't know, but it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Never heard of the chain. It was in the very early 1960s. Here was this store, and we said a hamburger for 15 cents. And by the way, it wasn't like chewing into leather, so we would go there. you know,
Get
15 cents
15 cents burger anymore. But Kim, I'm going to tell you, there's another place that's a family-owned business, and if you haven't been to it, you should go to it. And we're talking about churches, but in Durham, not that far from Central, is a place called the Chicken Hut, and the Chicken Hut is a family-owned institution. It's been around for decades. The founders actually passed away, but the sons are carrying on the legacy. And I can tell you, you can get a great meal for a fairly good price and everything. And there are some, I was the one who was giving you a hard time, Kim. There are some British places that are here in Durham, or at least they serve good British food. So you got Bull McCabe and you got the Federal. So both of those serve some great British food here in the area. So you might have some British food. So next time Ben's on, we'll have to let him know that he can get some British food here in the area.
Did you ever eat at Honey's? Is Honey's still around?
Honey's is not around. I did eat at Honey's. I used to love those kind of places. You're talking about the old-fashioned diner kind of places. There was Honey's. There was Pan, which is no longer around either. But there were a number of those great diners. Jim, you would have loved these places because you could stay and eat way late in the morning. I mean, like they were the after-hours kind of food places. So you could go there after you'd gone clubbing and get there like 1 or 2 in the morning and things of that nature. And Lynn, I've got to give you a hard time because you said that you did not like the lady that was cooking the food and everything. Because
I loved her. I mean, she was great. It was just her food wasn't good.
The food wasn't great.
No,
and that's what I got
wasn't.
to teach you about, because my grandmother, who has been gone many years, she was actually a cafeteria worker in a small rural town in North Carolina. So they definitely put their foot in the food, even for the young elementary school kids, because it was elementary school where she was doing that at.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, we had a cafeteria, you know, not always are the school cafeteria foods are good. And I could agree with Lynn on that one, but we had a lady that was so good that when she won the lottery, moved out of the state, the kids cried. Her food was so good. And so I had asked her, what is your secret in making this? And what is your secret in making this? And she gave me her secret. So, but because her food was that, I mean, I liked eating at that cafeteria. So,
was it salt?
Just a quickie before, because I do have to run. You have a place down there called Amonte's Pizza. Do you know Amonte's Pizza?
You got it out here.
No, I'm really in North Carolina. Used to have us. They have one in Durham because we've been there. They used to have one in Cary, but they closed it, which is a shame. They make whole wheat pizza crust.
Oh yeah.
Which is wonderful. And whenever we come to North Carolina, we love to get our pizza from Amonte's, which is terrific. So
I'll have to try that sometime.
Yeah, you should.
I had a question for you or something.
How to cook wheat pizza at home?
Yeah, we make our own at home now. So, and the dough, we make the dough and everything. So
wow, you go the whole 9 yards.
I'm not the cook.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, good cooking. Hey, kid, I was going to tease you about something as well, which is the fact that we've also got some good Indian food here in the Durham area as well. So we got places like Sitar, and there's a couple of other ones. So you will feel at home when you come here to North Carolina, but it won't be as good as your mom's home cooking, though. I know that already.
I know how to cook. I'm not afraid. I know how to cook it.
No, so you don't understand when
I can feed you.
Yeah, I was going to say, when Ankit comes to visit, we don't go out to eat. He comes to cook. Like, he's going to go to the kitchen at the hotel and says, can I borrow the kitchen? I want to cook. This is, you know, Ankit
You'll be going up. Yeah.
He's better than Chef. He's going to come to
I
mind.
enjoy cooking, actually. I enjoy cooking, and cooking is a stress buster. I just need a good assistant to help me out. That's it. Rest I can manage it.
A sous chef. Yeah. But we were talking about we were talking about food, German food and this and that. You really, we're making fun of England's food, but Irish food, at least the way my mother cooked it, I wouldn't recommend it.
You don't like Irish food?
But I know that Irish coffee and Irish ice cream are more popular than Irish food.
Irish coffee, yes.
Irish
you know, there's that other Irish dish too that's a liquid as well that a lot of folks like, but we won't say what that is.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we got good at some things.
But I wanted to know that when you go to church, so you have a kitchen at church, or do you donate food as how that process works? Because in India, we have a big kitchen in a lot of temples, and a lot of temples serve food 24 hours.
Yeah,
some of our churches do.
Yes, a lot of our
churches I like
24 hours.
Yeah, a lot of our we got 1 billion churches in this country. We got 304 million people, and we got 1 billion churches.
Wow.
Okay, I'm exaggerating, but out of all of that, just very few. But you know what? Those are the churches I like to support. And we also have one that does from farm to table. So what they'll do is they'll have the farmers deliver food to their vegetables that maybe they didn't sell at market. And those vegetables, they will package and deliver to the poor people, which I find very beautiful. But then you have the poor people, some of them who are complaining, well, I don't like it, And I'm like, my God, you're getting a vegetable that I paid $5 for. Stop complaining about it. You're getting
do you remember
off of the tree. Fresh off the tree.
Some gratitude.
I'm always concerned that why don't we serve healthy food in churches and temples? Why we serve all those food which is not good for health?
These churches do. That's what I'm trying to say. Some of the churches got into a program where the farmers take what's left of their vegetables. That I love. And then there are the churches who they take whatever food is given to them, kind of like what we did at the USO. So at the USO, we set up a place where we feed the military when they come in and home. And so that they have a place to maybe rest, shower, eat before they go see their family or waiting for the family to pick them up. So we only cooked what we were given. And sometimes it wasn't the healthiest foods, right? It just wasn't but we used what we were given to cook. And that's what the churches are, right? They use what they're given. And it's not always people's favorite. And that's kind of sad. One of my favorite people, though, in Durham, this lady, they call her the chicken lady. Mm-hmm. So one night she was walking around. She's not like heavy wealthy, right? But she's sustained and happy, maybe doesn't have a husband anymore. I don't know the full backstory. But she was walking at home one night and she saw this man who said, I hate begging. I'll do anything. I'll clean your car, whatever. But I just want a piece of chicken or something to eat. And she went in and asked the people at the counter, can you just give me some food? And they did. So then she started this little thing that she would go to the chicken counter at night and when they closed and say, give me whatever you have left over, right? All the biscuits, anything, don't throw it away. Don't reheat it and use it tomorrow. And then she takes it out to the poor people in the community. And they know to line up. And they're all gracious. They're not greedy, right? And she does this all the time. And it's in Durham.
Can you remember I told you about a story about suspended coffee?
No. Yeah. Share the story.
Yeah. So I'm not sure which part of the city is that. I mean, not in India, but somewhere else in the world. So what they do is, if they go to a coffee place and they ask for 3 coffees, 2 suspended. Jim and Mark, do you know what that means?
No.
Mark, any guesses?
Say it one more time, Ankit.
2
suspended. So I need 3 coffees, 2 suspended.
They're going to order 3, but they want 2.
They're going to pay it forward.
They're going to pay it forward. So they're going to
pay it for what? Forward for what?
They're going to pay for somebody else?
Next person that comes in.
They're going to pay for somebody else?
So what happens is that, so suppose if I go and visit to a cafeteria, I will say I want 3 coffees, 2 suspended, and I will take my coffee and I will win back. Now a poor person will come and he will ask, do you have any suspended coffees? So the coffee person will say, okay, I have 5 suspended coffees. How many you want? He said, I want 2 suspended coffees. So we'll give that 2 suspended coffees, and then coffee person is left with 3 suspended coffees.
Oh, wow.
That's how it works. So basically, you are paying for someone else you don't know, and then they prepare a balance sheet that how many suspended copies are available and how much we can, give it to the poor person.
Yeah, Kim, I heard the most amazing story not yesterday. It was 2 days ago or 3 days ago. I stopped by one of our local fast food restaurants, and there's a gentleman there, an older gentleman. He's homeless. There's no doubt that he's homeless. He's definitely involved in the whole homeless community and everything. But he had actually gotten some money and received a lot of money. I mean, a lot, relatively speaking. I think he had like around $200 or $300. Do you know what this homeless gentleman did with that money?
No.
Invested
He
stocks?
actually bought the food for other folks that were there. They were in a similar situation, and also bought food for some of the restaurant workers. So even though he's always struggling himself, he actually turned it around and gave back to the folks, because I mean, folks have helped him out, but he's definitely got a very good heart. I've actually had conversations with him a few times, and he's got a good heart. So he actually just turned it around, and when I was talking to the restaurant owners, the restaurant workers, they were shocked. It was two brothers. They were like, we could not believe that he did that. But he went out there, and I think there's another woman that sometimes is near him that he paid for, or he bought some her some food. He bought some other people some food, but he got this money, and versus trying to waste it like a lot of folks might do, he actually played it forward. So I thought that was an amazing story when I heard that.
Beautiful. And, one of the funnest games I ever played was when I went into a drive-through at Bojangles in Durham, and you can hear people you can hear them inside the restaurant cheering, and so I pulled up and I go, "Why is everybody cheering?" And he goes, "Well, the guy in front of you just paid back to the next person," and I go, "Well, do the same for me," So then you can hear them just like everybody just going crazy. It was like being at the races or something, right? And I go, why are they so crazy about it? They go, you're the 10th one to do it. We're trying to see how long this will go. So the person in front of me bought my meal, and I bought the person behind me meal, right? I meant to call them, and I forgot to do that because I was on a journey, traveling. But I always wanted to know how many people actually kept it going that day, right? Because that was still kind of like that was probably 9 or 10 in the morning. So look who we have here. Oh my God!
I hit the wrong link, man. I was in the wrong place. I was waiting. I'm like, people.
I was about to email you actually. I was about to email you.
Don't you love me? Don't you love me?
Henning.
Amazing Henning. Of course we love Henning. How are you doing there?
The problem with
they play that trick on me all the time, Henning.
The problem with beaming in and out, sometimes you just don't know where you're going to beam into.
Jesus, I was waiting on the wrong street corner. My date.
That could be dangerous.
Kept checking my altar.
That could be dangerous in some parts of the world, but on the internet, maybe not so bad. But we always talk about, we're wearing our masks now, so our computers don't spray viruses.
I still don't wear a mask. So I still don't wear a mask. I'm the last survivor.
There you go. You know what? And you're surviving. That's the point. You're surviving. So, you know what?
Talk about that if you want.
Right. You know what? And I know that one of your colleagues, Corey, she had tested positive, and she seems to have fared through it very well. So,
of course. Look, okay. You want to get into it? I'll get into it. We'll go.
Keep yourself healthy.
The floor is open. I don't hold Christmas.
I prefer to keep my conversations on a mental health side when it comes to the great insanity of 2020. The effects mentally on people regarding the overreaction, and I know you guys talk about this a lot, and I heard Kimberly talk about containment, and you guys are very high up in the academic world, and you guys have these discussions all the time. But it's my concern is the psychological impact that this whole insanity is having on especially kids, young people, but and social distancing is part of it. Okay, and I don't know if you know this, but suicide, the activity on the suicide prevention lifeline, we're doing a film for them. It's up 600%, 600% during the recent months here. Okay, that.
You the one who posted the lifeline? Were you? Did you just post the recent new lifeline? There's a new one. I shared it, but I can't find it.
No, I didn't. I did not. No.
I need to find it. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. So again, these are things that we're very near and dear to our hearts. It's something I've been talking about for 5 years now. Suicide amongst teenagers and suicide amongst young people it was never even a thing when we were growing up. It was not something that you thought about. It was not something that that was even a conversation piece. And now it's something that is an issue, and not just teenage suicides, but suicides on all levels, violence, domestic violence, and otherwise are up. And because people are, and when you social distance and force people away from other people, you're going against nature. And you're going against it. It was almost like, I said this on one of my Facebooks. It was almost like in Jurassic Park when the Jeff Goldblum character, he's supposed to be like the real smart guy, and he comes in and he's looking at what they're doing in this park with dinosaurs, and he's like, man, they're like, no, the dinosaurs can't get out. They could never escape in a million years. Like, man, they'll find a way. Nature, you don't go against nature and centuries and hundreds of centuries and millions of years of getting to this point without repercussions. The idea of closing schools is just a terrible idea. It was a terrible idea from the beginning, and I said it when it first happened. I couldn't believe it. I said it's a bad idea. I said it then, and I'm saying it now. It is keeping kids away from other kids is a bad idea. It's a bad idea. Kids are used to playing with other kids. And that's from every society, from the tribal societies in Africa and South America and Asia to the princes and princesses of Wales and in Great Britain. The kids play with other kids.
You can't stop them because
the
thing is I'm so thrilled because I'll go to the school next door that's been closed since the day it opened last year. And so the doors have been pretty much closed since March. But when I go for my walks over there, I see these two kids out there. You can tell that they've scheduled this play day.
Oh, God.
Without mom and dad. No, it's not, but they're out there playing basketball together.
Yeah. They don't need schools, Penny. They need recess.
Yeah. And kids are going to do that. Kids are going to play. I know I was traveling with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, and they were doing the whole Grubhub, DoorDash food delivery service. So I was traveling with them, and they went to some neighborhoods, and the kids were definitely in the streets, riding their bicycles, playing with each other, playing basketball games, doing what kids will do. And I did have a question for you about media and things of that nature. Because you just made the statement that you didn't think that suicides were as big as they are now and things of that nature. And I agree that we definitely are seeing a spike in numbers and things of that nature. But I am sometimes wondering, is it that they weren't as many of those when we were growing up? I'm 58. I'm not sure what your age is and everything. Or is it that we didn't hear about it as much because of social media? Because like I said, I think there were probably some folks that were taking their lives or doing other bad things like drugs and things of that nature, but it wasn't put out there as much through social media.
Right. Well, that's a good question. I can tell you from personal experience, being a depressed teenager, I was a depressed teenager. And when some of y'all don't know my story, but I was a baseball player, and that was my dream to play professional baseball. I was, good enough in my opinion, and I did 2-a-days. I was on the all-star team, traveling team. We had just won a state championship in New Jersey, baseball state championship, and I was starting third baseman, and I hit 5 home runs for that team. All that good stuff. But I was like, I'm gonna play baseball. That's my dream. And in wrestling that next year, when I was a sophomore in high school, I was 15 years old. I broke my back wrestling and could no longer play sports. And I fell into a deep depression at age 15, 16. And if I can tell you from personal experience, if there was something called suicide, if there was a concept, it never crossed my mind to do it. And I never really heard, and I was with all the juvenile delinquents. I was with all the other depressed kids. Right? I don't mean to make light of it, but those are my friends, right? And it wasn't something that was really talked about back then. I'm not saying that it never happened. I'm saying that it wasn't something that was a thing to consider. Now, were some of the things that I did suicidal? Yes, but was it teenager? Well, yeah. Trust me, the movies are mild. All right, the movies and the books are very mild. But was it a thought process? No, it wasn't. And when I first came across this concept, 5 years ago, when I released my first novel, which is based on my depressed state as a 15, 16-year-old kid, and then the solution, what happens when you find mentorship and when you find coaching and whatnot. But the academics that were reading my book, that invited me to speak at colleges and high schools, they brought up the issue to me, and I didn't even know that I didn't know anything about it. I said, "What are you talking about? Teen suicide? What is that? That's not, how could that be?" Right. And then my daughter, who was about 14 at the time, she said, "Yeah, Dad." She overheard me talking about it, because I was fascinated by this. Like, how could this be? And she said, "Yeah, 2 kids at our high school committed suicide this year." Mm-hmm. And she goes to like the California Blue Ribbon schools. I guess it's a upper middle class neighborhood. Because of the pressure, just because of the pressure.
Exactly, right? Which we didn't have.
We didn't have that. So these are the modern day pressures that kids have. It has to do with social media. It has to do with violence on TV and in movies. Video games are a big part of it, where these kids, they lose track of reality, and their brains are not equipped to be able to decipher the proper decisions to make and the proper avenues to go down. And a lot of times these kids, and again, these are things you learn over time. I had no idea. And then I started studying, and then all of a sudden the worst possible thing is that like parents of suicidal kids, like, I'm talking to them now they're my friends. I'm like, oh my God, like I can't even bear to have this conversation. And because we're making a movie for the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is I have to research. So I'm talking to these parents, and most of the time, the kids, they don't communicate, and that's the key. So when you getting back to the issue of isolation is when they're already feeling isolated and not wanting to communicate, and then you're adding to that pressure. You're adding another pressure on top of that. So on a positive note, the new movie that we're in pre-production now, we're going to be shooting it at the end of the month in August, is called An Hero, and it's a happy story. It's a happy story, but it addresses the issue head on. But what happens in this movie is that the main character, whose name is Lucas, and Lucas is 15 years old, and Lucas is going to commit suicide. He's got the note ready. He's got the pills in his hand, and he's talking to his girlfriend about it. And the girlfriend is beside herself, right? She's beside herself. And he's like, "No, don't worry. Don't worry about me. I'm going to be gone, and you don't have to worry about me anymore." They're having the real conversation. Right. And then there's a knock on the window, and it's his 2 friends, and they have a car. None of them know how to drive it. They have a car. They go in the car, and they take basically a joyride, right? And in that process, there's a mentor kid in the car that's talking to Lucas about his suicidal mindset, but they don't know that he's suicidal because he didn't tell anyone except his girlfriend, and so they don't know. So just by having the conversation, then he changes his mind, because he realizes what he has to live for. Lucas does, right? In this conversation. But by the time they do, the cops get involved, and then there's a car chase. He
has another reason to live. But let me ask you something.
Let me just finish my point real quick. So my point in sharing that with you now is that the conversation, the relationship with the kids is what it's about, and it's getting closer to other people and being open with your problems, psychological or otherwise. That's how we're going to get this to come to. We're going to have the slope come down, and social isolating and the things that are happening, especially for kids, it goes against the science.
Well, and I want to share with you the reason why I'm so glad you brought this up is one of our doctors who I dearly love and comes on our show occasionally on Fridays. He said the same thing. The worst thing that we did was a word called social distancing. We should not have first off called it social distancing. We should have taught this is what happens if you get, you can share the disease. So be smart and wise, but don't distance yourself from socializing. He said that word alone impacted so many people's lives, and it should have never been worded that way. So he is a doctor who believes exactly what you're saying, that we devastated our children and lonely people and made it worse for them.
Made it worse.
So the other thing though that he likes to say is let's change the wording. That's my thing is, okay, we got this problem. How can we fix it? So, and he's also, what I love about him is he's a hypnotist. He also does this really cool DJ show on Saturday nights to try to spin music for people. He'll take requests, mostly for his patients to help them stay happy and build their spirits up. He's also a health hypnotist as well as a general practitioner. He's a general, there you go. He's a general practitioner who's been working the front lines night and day. The money he raises goes to help victims of domestic violence. So, I don't know. He's like you, Henning. I'm like, how does he do all of these things and keep this, just keep the spirit up so high? And I guess it's because you can do all of these things. But he said exactly that. That's why I'm so glad you bring this up, because what I'd like to do is combine these kind of conversations to empower the world to let's change. So what do we do? He says, well, let's change the way we word it. Let's change what we tell our kids, that they need to maintain distances, but still see each other. That they need to be careful, wash your hands, make sure that maybe you wash your face and gargle with soap after you met with people to kill whatever germ got in you, right? Practice.
Well, again, it's common sense. Use your common sense. But what the challenge has, I know Ankit had another question. The challenge again, definitely words impact, and we could not use. And that's one thing that I being a writer, I choose every word carefully, and especially when you write those music lyrics, because you can't change those. Once it's recorded, it's done. There's no way to edit those out. Like you can, in a movie, you could cut the scene if you said it the wrong way, right? And so in music, I was just listening to the Anhero song. It's a 7-minute ballad that plays in the movie. The whole 7 minutes. Wow. It's something else, right? And it builds up and builds up and builds up. But I just realized that. That it's already recorded. Drew Lane already recorded the song. I'm not going to go back to Drew and say, okay, you got to re-record the song now because I want to change something. So words are so important. And again, people need to be smart, but definitely wash your hands, be cognizant of who you have around you. If you're sick, stay home. If you have symptoms, go see your doctor. But specifically with COVID, the reaction has been a colossal overreaction to the situation, and the reason being is that, see, the people that you have on your show, and the doctor that you just mentioned, he's got a really cool long Italian last name. I'm gonna use that name in one of my movies. So they look at the holistic approach, and holistic meaning you've got to look at the entire entity. You don't just, if you change one thing affects something else. There's a cause and effect with everything that occurs. Any action has a reaction, and Jim Rohn used to say everything affects everything else. That was a really cool way of saying. He said everything affects everything else. If you make a decision such as forcing businesses to close or forcing schools to close, then you're going to have a reaction somewhere else. And if you don't think about that other that secondary set of circumstances, then you're not being conscientious in your decision making. And that's what has happened. And it's beyond an opinion. It's just obvious. It's like, okay, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. What happened to cancer? Does anybody care about cancer anymore? Cancer kills more people than COVID, many times more than COVID. How about heart disease? Does anybody really care about that anymore? I haven't heard anyone mention heart disease in months and months on the news. Heart disease kills many times more people than COVID ever did. What about, we talked about earlier, health, mental issues. You don't take one issue, which is an issue. It's a serious issue. It's a serious health concern. I understand. You don't take one issue and then neglect the rest, because then you have an imbalance, and it's just not. The end result is going to be a poor decision making. It's going to be poor decision making. I would like, I'll wear a mask when I walk into CVS stores, and I hate to pick on CVS. I shouldn't even have done it. Any store, any supermarket or pharmacy, what have you. When you stop selling cigarettes, I'll put a mask on. That's the deal. In the meantime, what are we doing? Are you going to stop selling cigarettes? Are you going to? We should all stop driving. No more driving. Okay, take away everyone's driver's license, because I'm sure we could avoid traffic accidents if we stop driving. Don't you think we could avoid? It's absolutely ridiculous. Are we going to stop driving? We're going to. And again, okay, how about we stop selling fast food? How about all the fast food restaurants? Because we know, based on science, we know that fast food that people are eating on a regular basis are making us sick. They're making us obese. They're causing heart problems, heart disease, cancer. We know that is proven. So let's just shut down all the fast food restaurants. And again, when we do that, then what do we have, right? Then nobody has a choice of what they're doing. So there's always a way to minimize a risk of something, but it has to be done in a way that considers the whole. Now, could we shut down all the fast food companies if it were possible to do? I mean, they have like $1 gazillion, and whenever I use that word, that means it's a lot. They got lots of money, right? So could it even happen? But then look at the ramifications of something like that, what it would do. So the logical approach is warn the people. You put a warning label on cigarettes. There's a warning label there. There are still buildings in California that have asbestos in it. They put a warning label up, and you're making a choice. You're making your own choice whether you go in there or not. You're making your own choice whether to eat that hamburger or eat a salad. It's your choice. And then we can have a society without such a tremendous negative consequence.
What are you going to say, Anki?
There you go.
So basically what I was saying is that we talk about these serious issues like child abuse and all those things in a very serious manner on movies, basically. If we narrate simple, easy stories and add a lot of humor, I think that would also make sense, because a lot of people don't want to, because there's a lot of serious things going on in their life, so they don't want to watch a serious thing on television as well. But if we narrate in a much humor way, I think we have more audience. And also, I would like to know, Henning, do you use long monologues in your movies? Because in India, we have long monologues, like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and that creates a lot of interesting engagement for that particular scene in the movie.
Well,
what do you think about that?
Thank you for that. Yeah, that's why, again, my movie that supports the Suicide Prevention Lifeline is not. It's not necessarily. It's just. It's kind of funny, and it's fun. You make it fun, and I don't use a lot of comedy. I'm not a comedy writer, but a lot of the things that happen in my movies are very comical, right? They're very comical when you think about what's happening. I prefer to use music as a stimulator. The fashion, the cars that we use, and the chase sequences that get people's attention, and those types of things. The music is a big part, as I said. But absolutely, there are comedy, there are comical situations and comical sets of circumstances that happen. But here's the thing. Here's the key. The key is that we bring it out in a way that's entertaining, where people say, "Man, this is cool. This is fun. This is an adventure." and then you can weave in the lessons. And I like to use the examples of the Breakfast Club. You can use the example of The Outsiders. Spike Lee did it when he came on the scene in the 90s, in Do the Right Thing, and the lessons that are, and it's probably more intense than people were used to before, but it's funny. It's a fun story. Mookie is funny. Radio Raheem is interesting, and the music it's entertainment first, and then you get your message in the process. As far as using long monologues, which is the second part of your question, sometimes I always want to. There's a scene in Rebelistic. Where Zeke, who's he's a motivational speaker / minister style guy, but he's also a dirt merchant sales guy, right? So he's got all three, and he makes a speech at the end, towards the end of Rebelistic, in a church of all places, and it's very moving, in my opinion. And he did a phenomenal job doing it. I don't show it because it cuts into a part of the movie that's going to give the movie away if we do. So I don't really show it. Maybe I should cut just the speech and play it for you guys sometime. But that's a long one. That's about 7 minutes of just him going, right? He's preaching, right? But he's preaching in a way that is entertaining because there's music behind it, and also we're seeing flashes to something else that's going on that relates to the speech. So yeah, you can use monologues, but for people who are making films, telling stories, be careful that whatever you do, you have to make sure that it's entertaining for people.
Hey, Henry, I know Jim's got to leave and everything very shortly, and he had a question based on some things that he had going on with one of our other shows and the gentleman from Nigeria. So I'm going to turn the table over to Jim so he can get the question in.
Okay, I've got to run, so thanks very much, Mark. I was a guest on the show, Bro's IBM TV show from Nigeria, and the topic was teen suicide. So we don't want to just get the impression, Mind Closet 101. And it's on Fridays, and very early from my perspective and Henny's perspective. But I got up and got one cup of coffee in me and got on it. And so I just wanted to make sure that we knew that this is a global phenomenon and not just the United States that's having this issue.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point, Jim. And here's the key. Let me leave on the positive. I don't like to stay in the negative. I mean, it's not even negative. It's just it's sad. In other words, stay in the sad. Here's the key. If you want to make a difference with mental health as it affects young people, encourage communication. Encourage communication.
I got one last thing, Henny. Yeah. One last thing before I gotta go. I had the same kind of experience when I was 15, and the way out for me was chess, because I was surrounded by older men who were mentors to me. And I got out of my depression because I was surrounded by people they liked me because I was good at chess. And so they took me under their wing, but I learned a lot of life lessons, and I communicated with them. And this is just reinforcing what you're saying. Yeah. My experience is very much the same way. I've got to say goodbye.
I know you got to go. Thanks, Jim.
Okay. Or whatever, but he had to leave. But I was going to say that the other thing that I can say that Jim's age, and he's actually even older than I am, and everything, the thing that we would do when we were young is that we would claim that we were going to run away. Now, you ask how far we ran away, it wasn't that far, because usually I can tell you for a fact that my younger brother did it. I did not do it that much. I have cousins that did it. And usually there'd be like a long, not sidewalk, but either a sidewalk if you were in the city or if you're in the country town, there might be like a long road path leading to a major road. You were lucky if you made it to the end of the path, because you realized that you were leaving what you're talking about. You were leaving your comfort of home. You were leaving all the things that definitely helped you be the person that you were and become the man or woman that you became. So a lot of times you would realize that it wasn't worth it and you would come back. And like I said, I know I've even got some cousins that might disappeared into like some creeks and some other things, but they always came back home because they were like, well, one, and I'm sure you can relate to this, Henning, because you said that you had a little bit of that juvenile delinquent kind of behavior, and my brother also had that as a young kid. But juvenile delinquent behavior will not get you any food in your stomach. So sometimes you would come back home because you were ready to get fed and you were ready to get the comforts of home. So that, definitely, I do agree that a lot of that was where our attitude was. But even in terms of like the whole notion of suicide being a media thing, one of my favorite movies is It's a Wonderful Life, and It's a Wonderful Life that's when the man was getting ready to do. He was getting ready to jump off of a bridge after having gone through all the different changes that he was going through as a older man and everything. But then religious figures, whether that was God or whether that was whatever you want to make that image to be, is what led him back into the light, as they would say. But definitely, that's one of my favorite movies, and definitely covered that suicide topic. And that movie was made in like the 50s or the 40s or something like that.
Yeah. Well, first off, with running away from home, that was something that people. I never ran away from home. I had too much fun torturing my mom at home. So I never did that. But I had two of my friends. One of them came to my house. They ran away from home and they were staying with me. I was sleeping on my floor. What are you doing? Go home. And then the other one, we went camping, and he showed up camping with like Snickers bars in his backpack. And on his bicycle, I said, "What are you doing here, man?" He said, "I ran away from home." So yeah, they both went back home. The key to kind of wrap this topic up, I know Kimberly wanted to talk about what's going to happen next week with Romancery on the channel, but to wrap this up, the key is communication.
Oh yeah.
And we all have young people in our lives, whether they're our kids, whether they're our grandkids, our students, whether we're coaches, they're players on our teams. Whenever you're in touch with a younger person, what you can do is just communicate, just talk to them. And sometimes by just having a little small conversation, you compliment them. Say, "I like your," find something to compliment. "I like your shoes. I like where'd you get them?" Treat them like a person, right?
Right.
And because they're people, right? Don't be afraid of teenagers, right? Or young people. So communicate. And if the closer you are to them, encourage them to tell you what's going on, their problems, their issues. Because with the young men, their macho tendencies that they're born with, the masculine tendencies they're born with, are encouraged to be shut down and not communicate. Open them up. You don't have to communicate everything all the time, but what's happening, what's going on with you, right? And with the girls, don't have as much of that problem. It's more about talking about what's really bothering them. Getting girls to open up is not as hard, but is there something really bothering you? How you doing with your friends? How you doing with the other girls? How you feeling about things? And those conversations could make a difference. And that's what you should be doing with these young people. And that's what And Hero is all about. It's about communicating. And that's what my message is open up, be truthful, be honest. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of what somebody's going to say or what somebody's going to feel about you. They're going to call you this or call you that. Forget about that. Just get to the core of the issue. Find people you can trust. Tell them what's going on. And you'll feel better just by sharing. And then maybe somebody will have some answers for you.
Henry, I know you got to bounce as well, but I was just going to say one of the things I really found interesting is that here in this area, meaning North Carolina and around the country, they've been talking about having the freshmen and the sophomores come to college, but not necessarily the juniors and the seniors. So like I know at Duke, which is where I'm near, and a couple of the other universities, they want the freshmen and the sophomores to come, but they want the juniors and the seniors to do it online. The reason for the freshmen and the sophomores is because of what you just said, because they want them to get into that whole socialization process and getting socialized and being away from home and things of that nature. So I was wondering what some of your thoughts are about that, because they are encouraging, like I said, the freshmen and the sophomores to come to the college and be in the college environment, but they're pushing the juniors and the seniors onto online because I guess
that's interesting. That's the first I've heard of that. And it's a very interesting way of seeing it. And to me, that is, again, the challenge is that we're dealing with laws that are being forced upon us sometimes, and each state is different and each locality is different in terms of how they deal with it. So it's a very difficult question to answer, because I don't want people to do what's against the law. I don't want them to go against a rule or a regulation that's been set down. But on the other hand, how are we going to change a law that doesn't make sense besides going against it? And it's a difficult place to play. But I understand what the rationale behind it. The rationale makes sense. The freshmen and the sophomores need to get out on their own and basically need to grow up. Okay, you're 18, 19, you need to grow up and be in that. By the time you're 19, the thinking is by the time you're 20, 21, 22, you've already been through that. But my firm belief is that all of the whole college age kids, and I got college age kids myself. My two big ones are in college. So my opinion is they just need to all be back. They need to all be back. The kids are not getting sick. They're not getting their teachers sick. It's very hard to find. It's what Kimberly said before. I have so many people that I deal with, hundreds, probably thousands that I deal with. The few that have tested positive, they had symptoms, they saw their doctor, they got better, and they went back to their life like anything else. I'm not making light of it because it's still an issue that needs to be dealt with. What I'm saying is that young adults are bouncing back. All my actors are young adults. I know I got hundreds of them, right? And a couple of them were tested positive and they bounced right back. So colleges should be open 100%. Elementary schools open. You take whatever precaution you think is necessary, but let these kids socialize with each other, and also that those freshmen and those sophomores, they need the mentorship of the other kids too. They need the mentorship of the seniors, and if you're dealing with sports, which is kind of where my background lies also, you have seniors on teams, and the freshmen and the juniors, they look up to the seniors. Some of them going off to play professional sports. Some of them are going on to careers and postgraduate school. They look up to those kids, and that whole dynamic. If you take that dynamic away from the university environment, man, you're gonna. I'm not saying that it's the end of the world, and I'm not saying that that it shouldn't be done. I'm saying you have to look at the consequences of what's going to happen to those kids, and those kids are not getting sick. So, and if they are, they're bouncing right back. So you have to look at the science behind it and say, what's logical, what's reasonable here. These are young adults. They're healthy for the most part. The teachers, if the professor is old and sick, then the professor should be the one staying home, and maybe they could teach from home, right? Maybe they should get on video, and the class should. I'm sick, but I'm going to teach you guys anyway because I love to teach. How about that? The social dynamic of college is part of the benefit of college, and a big benefit. And we don't want to take that away. But I understand the rationale, and I commend the powers that be for coming up with logical solutions, because the decision may not be theirs. I'm not blaming the colleges. If the city or the state sends down a ruling that says that a building must be closed, then the college, it's not the college's fault. The building's got to be closed. Well, maybe I can fight to get this building open, and then it's kind of, you're fighting against this force. So I'm really more adamant in communicating with the powers that be, the government, and whatever the decision-making entities are, whether it be the Department of Health, whether it be the CDC, whether it be the mayor's office, the governor's office, the senators, the president, whatever, right? Those are the people that need to be communicated with and changed. We need to change the mindset of that group. And we need to do it through communication and through intelligent, logical dialogue. And then the media, the mass media, that's not picking the words correctly. I love what Kimberly said. The words that they're using, they're fearful type. It's fearful rhetoric. There's a spike in this, and there's a surge in that. And you create emotions and you create fear by the words you use. So, and again, what am I going to say to, CNN or to not to pick on CNN, but the New York Times? I get the New York Times feed every day. I get the CNN feed. I get all the feeds because I want to see what in the world's going on. But the rhetoric is, can you guys just be cool and just report the news and not taint it with all this fearful dialogue that is just making matters worse. So
because if you were saying that, it just reminded me, and I don't know why I hadn't thought of this before, but it kind of reminded me of the Iran hostage crisis when we would get like every day, day 100, day whatever, and it kind of reminded me of that, where we're getting like these constant, like you just said, X amount of cases. I'm here in North Carolina, so you get like X amount of cases in North Carolina or in your city or whatever, X amount of deaths, X amount of testing, and it is kind of that building on the fear kind of mentality, because like I said, it kind of reminds me of what happened many decades ago with the Iran crisis, where we would get that daily count of how many days they had been held hostage.
Yeah, and I remember that too, that time, and I remember how I felt as a kid, watching all that transpire. It's scary, and here's the thing: there's other news, there are other things going on. And if you compare, and I'm not saying that the media shouldn't report on what's going on. I'm saying that there are other issues. There are other issues that we should be concerned with, and having produced charity events for, I lost count so long ago. It's been 15 years. It's been every month a different charity that we've been working with to support and to promote. There's so many causes. There are so many great organizations that are helping people, and there are so many issues that are valid issues to be talking about. It is a mistake to just focus on this one issue when there's so many other things going on that we should be talking about intelligently, and COVID should be one of those things that we should be talking about. And by neglecting the other areas of conversation, we're neglecting those causes, and we're neglecting those issues as well, because we're not bringing those issues to light. So again, getting back to the specifics on COVID, if you look at the actual impact that this has had, the actual numbers and compared to some of the other things that we should be concerned with, it should be a small part of our conversation instead of the dominating part of our conversation.
Oh, and I want to add to that, and I'm sorry, I've been down. They're going to come fix my internet. Oops. Henning had to leave.
I'm still here.
What I wanted to add is, and I hated having to beam out like that, but my internet is going to be fixed tomorrow, hopefully. But one of the things really important, we talked about this the other day, that there are so many other diseases that we die of that we need to stop and make sure that those are being addressed as well. Like my treatments, I have to have my treatments monthly, and there was a point there where they were canceling all appointments. And, you can't neglect the other needs of the world for this one factor. The thing is we just need to unite. We need to think about it. We've got some brilliant minds out there. And I truly believe we need a pandemic team. And Henning, to address the issue about school, there are countries who have been dealing with this pandemic. The rise didn't go up and they still continued schools. Iceland being one of them. So why aren't we taking a look at why they were able to do this and do it successfully and pattern ourselves after some of these footprints that are already there, that are already successful?
Yeah.
It would be that easy. Instead, we got to do this.
Right.
And, it's her fault. It's his fault. I don't want to hear faults anymore. And this is one of the reasons why I love our platform on Mondays. Well, almost every day we talk about it, but there's actually some very brilliant minds that come that have a little bit of strings to pull. And they go, you know what, that's a good idea. Because this is about whiteboarding, talking about people's problems, but not just complaining about them, saying, how do we solve the solution? There are ways, like I was talking about before I got beamed out, just it's hypnotizing, right? There are some great things that this one doctor does. and hypnotizing. I'm not afraid of it. It's really just truly how to rethink your body. I've been through some psychotherapy on that's not a good word, but on how to deal with my pain. Right? I was told I'd be dead in 10 years, and this was in 97. So there are ways to deal with the pain. And I was told that if I wasn't dead, that the drugs that they have to give me would kill me because of it. All right. And I choose not to take those level of drugs. They write me any prescription I want. They actually asked me to test prescriptions. And I made the choice not to, because it did almost kill me in 2010. The treatments almost killed me for the pain. So I changed what I was doing. I didn't want to be an opioid drug person. And I take them at the very least, the very last straw. There are so many other things I could be doing. And one of them was how to hypnotize myself a little bit when the pain was hitting, and not let that be my next resort to take a painkiller, or how to exercise better and do some other things. But these are disciplines that we need to train ourselves. And like you said, you're one of the few very, very intelligent people who I would trust with your common sense. I trust that when you say you don't need a mask or something like that, you're going to be doing the things you need to do to protect yourself. But as one of my least favorite senators in the world one time told me, Kimberly, there are just some people, the mass majority are just not smart enough. You have to look out for their best interest. And this is why, and you might know him, Mark, I'm not going to say who it is, but this is why we have to take these precautions. And this is why I have to make laws to restrict everybody from doing these things, because not everybody is as smart as you to be able to protect themselves. I have to protect them. Okay. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm really mad at you. But then I realized as I got older, he was right. So many other people won't take those cautions. And so these laws sometimes, unfortunately, are put not for the smart people, but they're for the people who just don't take the precautions. So I know I'm smart enough that I could probably walk into someplace without a mask. I'll leave. I'll wash my hands. I'll do all the right things. I'll gargle with Listerine because it'll kill anything. And, but there are just, unfortunately, some people who aren't. And the majority. And when he told me that, I was very angry. Decent senator. But that, I think, when we look at these things and why they happen, this is why I tell people, don't let the government then tell you what you cannot do. Make your own policies and say, we're going to open up the school. And these are the policies we're going to follow to make sure that these children are safe. And if they're, we'll test every day. And if somebody's caught with COVID, we'll isolate the situation. Just like you would contain any sickness. When a kid's sick from the flu, what do? Hopefully you keep them home from school until they're well, right? And you send them to school. But a lot of people don't have that common sense, Henny. And a lot of people are going to send their kids to school sick with the flu. They're going to send their kids to school sick with COVID. So these laws, but this is what I tell people, there's nothing wrong with us because we rule the country, with each and every one of us saying, this is how my policies are going to be, and this is how I'm going to operate my business, and we're going to operate this way. And if you have any problems with this, Mr. Governor, tell me now. But I'm going to open. And my people are essential. I'm essential. And this is what we're going to do. But nobody's doing that. Instead, we sit back, we're complaining, and we're whining, when in fact we could take these precautions. Just like they could have designated one hotel in every city and said, this is a COVID hospital. And we're going to isolate COVID by sending anyone with COVID there. Keep it away from the hospitals, away from where we treat people for all these other diseases and other problems that they have, and isolate it. But they didn't do that. And don't tell me they didn't know about this, because it's been mentioned more than once and not just by me. So there are things that they could be doing, but instead they're just fighting amongst themselves. And this is where I think we're going to have to rise up as people, just like you do. I watch your shows. I do. I watch. I don't get a chance to watch them all the time. But these are good voices, Henny. Those are, you're offering a point. One, you're offering soundboard. And two, you're offering talking points. So,
well, I appreciate that, and I agree that we definitely need to take matters into our own hands with our own lives. I'll leave it at that.
Well, we do.
And use reasonableness, use your intelligence, and if you're lacking in knowledge, just gain knowledge. And like I talked about today on Facebook at 7, love versus fear. You can't have both. You can't feel love and fear at the same time. So you've got to choose. You got to choose to love, and don't be scared. Don't be scared. Just get the facts. Part of choosing love means you get the facts and you become smart about the topic and you apply what you learn and you care, right? That's part of love. Fear has no part of that. And then when you have the facts and you care and you want to share, then just do it and don't be scared. Don't be scared of the consequences because there aren't any. There aren't any consequences. I mean, life is risky. None of us are getting out of this thing alive. So
I tell people,
understand, hey, if someone's got to get you, it might as well be something good.
Right.
I got to really fly. And Kimberly, I'm going to jump off. Let everyone know we're going to show Romancery next week on your show. And
well, you just did. Let's talk about that real quick next week.
We didn't talk about it, but let them know. I got to get off. But if you can share that, we're going to show it next week on the show, and then we'll have like a discussion about it. It'll be awesome.
All right, and I want you to come on our Spiritual Warrior show.
Can you invite me, please? And if I can get there, I will. Okay.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
So wow, what I like about him is that we talk about the mask, and the reason why I wear them is my doctor asked me to, and if my doctor believes so, I will. But I know that the reason why they put these laws in place is the vast majority of the people aren't smart enough. Henning is one of those people, and that's the reason why he's a renegade. But he's a successful renegade. Is he's got some common sense about him. I think if he got sick, he would stay home, and and then that's the common sense that lacks in our people. I mean, how many times did you go to work and somebody walks in coughing, sneezing, sick? You irritated the mess out of me. Oh my God, I just wanted to punch their nose.
I went to the testing facility, and I remember that happening way too often. That folks would come in and they would be sick as all get out, and then not want to leave, even though folks, including some of their friends, were telling them, you need to leave and go home and come back when you're feeling better. But they were worried about their economy. And I get that too, that sometimes you are worried about that economy and worried about your money and the fact that you've got to have those bills to pay. So I get why they were trying to say, but I'm like you. I was like, please go home. Please go home. And then when you get better, then come back and we'll be better together. But I did understand what their concerns were because sometimes they were in very limited incomes and that might have been their main source, if not only source of income. So I understand their fear, but at the same time, I was not appreciative of it and wanted them to go home as fast as possible.
And you know what? If I had more access to masks, when somebody came in sick, I would just put one on with a pair of goggles. So just to show my point, right? But back then, I wasn't. Plus, we didn't have a death virus, as I call this. But the thing is that there are some common sense people, and there are not. And when that senator told me that, I'm like, so you think everybody in this state is dumb? How on earth did you get elected? And he goes, because they're dumb.
Well, sometimes we elect some crazy folks, and they know that we're electing them, even though they are the ones that are doing that to us, and they just figure that they can snow us, to use that old expression.
A long time ago, and I don't think he's with us anymore. But it was quite a learning experience, and I don't think I'm going to out him. But he was dead on about why he didn't made laws a certain way, and unfortunately, it punished the smart people. But before we go any further, one that I love it when Henning gets to come and hate it when I have to be beaming out. But Henning is letting us watch a movie next Tuesday. So during Celeb Tuesday, instead of having guests come on earlier, we're going to go ahead and play one of Henning's movies. And then hopefully everybody during this time that they're watching this, that they will watch the movie. And then the next week, we're going to have, and if anyone watches it, they're welcome. I'll send them a special invite, but people can come, dial in or chat in, ask questions, share with Henning what they felt about the movie. So one week we're going to do the movie, and the next week we're going to do a movie talk.
Okay.
But the movie talk isn't going to be just us, like doing the movie review, right? The movie talk, I'm inviting all the viewers to give us your feedback. And I know Henning eats up that feedback, and I can tell he does because he takes feedback and I see changes to the movie. And so every time I think he's played the movie and somebody's given him some feedback, because the movie has really kind of taken some changes to it, and it gets better. It gets better and better. But like anything you do, it gets better. Just like our intros for people's shows are getting better. Oh my gosh. Have you seen Jim's? Did you see Jim's intro?
I have not seen. Oh, yes, I did. I did see the intro. It was an amazing intro.
Well, I don't know if I have access to it. Ankit was playing it today, but Jim has a new intro, and wowzer. Oh my gosh. I told Ankit, I'm jealous because Kim, I'm working on ours. I'm jealous.
Well, now I was told by a very good friend of mine that he sent you an intro audio. So I'm hoping that you're in the process of that intro audio.
No, but intro audio is one thing. You got to see this. Let me see if I could pull it up and we'll watch it as he turns on. Hold on just a second.
Right.
I don't know if he plays it through IBM TV or Facebook. And sometimes it gets a little difficult for me bouncing around, but let me see. There we go. All right. I'm going to play this.
Let's play it.
And it's not opening just yet.
Okay.
But hold on, because it's not on. But as soon as it comes on, I'm going to share it. And, oh, here it comes. Oh, dear. What happened to my, I don't know. I can't hear it. Hold on. Share screen.
I'll get over here.
Share. Can you see it?
No. Yep, I see it.
I'm going to play it from the beginning.
All right.
Let's try again.
Gotta go back.
£1 pound.
That was great.
Welcome, viewers, to IBM TV's show Chess Without Borders. I am James Eade of the Eade Foundation, and you can call me Jim. But I want to tell you what Chess Without Borders means to me, because borders are just lines on a map. They don't exist in the real world. And when we...
All right.
All right.
Think of that.
That was great. That was an amazing video. I wonder who did it. But Mr. Dean did want to know whether you were using his audio. I talked to him. Yeah,
we are working on,
and he says
we're embedding it. So again, I just don't go changing our intro. I have to, but yes, I loved it so much, and we are working on embedding an audio, but we're working on our visual, right? And then we're getting that done. But no, he's got that beautiful voice, right? Oh my God.
That's what I told him. And he did tell me that he will try to pop in on our Wednesday extended Mark Lee show. So he will definitely be doing that and things of that nature. So he will be joining us on that. So that is going to be a great thing. By the way, I've come up with a title. So the Wednesday show is going to be called The Online Dinner Party with Mark Lee. So it's the online dinner party. So I thought that was a nice title. So
I like it. Online dinner party. So yeah, the dinner party. I love it. So, but we'll get into that real quick. I want to tell Ankit what we're doing next week. So next week we're going to be watching. Maybe we'll start before the Henning Hour, but we're going to be watching a movie. Henning's going to let us watch a movie. So for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, we'll watch a movie. And then the next week, when Henning's Hour comes on, those of us, including the viewers, and if they want, they can email us and we can give them access. But we'll all talk about the movie and you can give your feedback. We're going to talk about what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it. Because I will tell people, one thing I noticed about Henning is that he will like take things in. I've watched how he's fixed the movie based on feedback. So and the music, everything he does in music is just, maybe it's a gift he has, but he just seems to be able to find the right music. So next week, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be watching the Henning movie, Romancery, and it'll be free for you. You don't have to go register or do anything. You watch it right here. And if you're interested in giving your feedback, you can, the following week, we're going to do a Henning movie talk. And I think
we can add one more element while watching the movie. A viewer who comments the best, or who will we will pick one of the comment from the viewers, and then we can invite that person on a conversation with Henning next week after the movie week.
All right. We can also do another thing, because I know a lot of people just can't stop work and watch the movie during the week. We can ask Henning if we can use this movie, say on Saturday or Sunday, one of the days that we don't have, and we can watch the movie on the weekend as well. So we're not going to just limit the time of watching the movie. What we are going to say is it's not going to be something we're going to make it very easy for you to go back and play our video on demand of that show, because that's not fair to Henning. Our goal is to inspire people, but we also need to help a lot of our artists monetize. And I know that Henning does a lot of his movies and work. He's got to get paid for them, but he also donates a lot towards the anti-suicide. But let's talk about Mark and his new shows, because Mark is just ramping up some shows. He's been out a few days for a family death, and so welcome back.
Thank you. It was actually kind of surreal dealing with that and everything, because as we were talking to Henning about the social distancing, it was we had to all wear our masks. So the singer, even she was wearing the mask, but Pam Jones was a tremendous singer. She's done a lot of our family sad occasions as well as some other occasions, but she'll also all being there wearing the mask was definitely surreal, but it was some great memories shared of my late uncle. So definitely I was glad to be able to get up there and spend time with my cousin. Like I told y'all before, one of the cousins was actually not able to make it because he is doing some civilian work, because he was in the military. So he's actually in Saudi Arabia, but he was able to FaceTime us and be there through FaceTime. So that was really good. He was there, and his wife was there along with some of their kids. So that was good that he was still able to share the experience. But definitely he was missed by many, and they had more than we thought were going to be there. Because I think when I came up with my aunt who lives here in Durham to Mom's house where the service was and where Uncle Skip lived at, I was thinking that, I think she said we'll be lucky because of what's going on with COVID. If there's like 25 people or something, and we saw all these cars, and we're like, oh, there's more people here than we actually were expecting. So, but he was definitely remembered by a lot and had some great memories, and good stories were shared, like any of those kind of family outings. And I'll share some of those in some of my upcoming shows. And hopefully I can get Jonathan or some of my relatives later on to come on, just because we were having some conversations about what I'm doing, what they're doing, and hopefully they'll join me and reminisce with us some. But definitely, as far as what we're doing, I'm finding some great guests that are already excited. I was actually on the phone earlier today with Mel Melton, who is a blues musician from here in North Carolina, but he spent time in Louisiana, and he's played with all kinds of folks like C.J. Chenier, Sonny Lanthorus, and others, and he's excited about coming. Kim, you'll be glad to know he is also an official, and I mean official, Cajun chef. So I'm going to see if I can't talk him into doing some Cajun chef work as well. So he will be joining us on that particular show. And then we've also got some other guests that I'm talking to about coming on many of our shows. Ankit, I've got to thank you for, covering things and making sure that everything worked well. So I appreciate that.
We are a team. I mean, it's all about teamwork, and we have to do it. I mean, our goal, we have to run 24 hours doing shows around the world. So that's what the team is all about.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, is teamwork. And like I was telling some friends of mine, I've got a couple of brothers that are not necessarily brothers by family. Then definitely I consider you to be one of those, Zach, who I've been with for even longer, brought him into the IBM family. But definitely, I consider him a brother that's not necessarily from family, but you are definitely one, and Kim is like a sister. So definitely, like you said, we're all family. Alexandria is like a young sister. So it's all that big family that we've got going. So definitely appreciate that. And it's just one big family.
And we are a big family, and that's why now my duty is to support Jim. He's doing a show. I have to direct.
Oh yeah, and that's what we're gonna do. I want to get on and I want to check James' show because I'm a chess player. It's actually the ironic thing, just to tie it in real loosely, so we can get back. I first learned chess from my cousins Emmett and Jonathan, and that is their dad who was the one that passed on. So definitely, so I'm gonna have to come over there and check the chess game out.
We can play chess online between each other, and then we'll learn something, and then we'll beat Jim.
All right, that sounds good. We'll play. Me and you will play each other, and then after we're good enough, we'll
have
play.
Practice, and then once we are pro, then we'll go and beat Jim and Sasha.
Yes, we'll beat Jim. I don't know we're ever going to be pro enough to beat Sasha though.
By 2025, we have to capture those chess shows now.
But what year is it going to be before we can catch Sasha? 2030, 2040?
I don't know.
Yeah, because it's going to take us 5 years to get to Jim.
Yeah, 5 years for Jim. So I don't know how much for Sasha actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great
But
talking
before
to you.
we wrap up, as a tradition, I'll play the ambassador's message and then we'll wrap it up.
कोरोना से कैसे बचेंगे? ओके, हैंड होकर और ऐसे अपने खांसी जब आएगी तो ऐसे करेंगे अच्छू अच्छू और कोरोना वायरस को धन्यवाद हमारा म्यूजिक सुनने का.
And that's the wrap for the day on IBM TV Celeb Tuesday. And do join us on Chess Without Borders with FM Jim Made, which is live on IBM TV right now. And tomorrow we have Startup Wednesday, and followed by Modern Investing with Sasha Star. So, and after that we have a show on Weed Wednesday, which starts just after Sasha's show at 3 p.m. EST. So do join us, and it's time to wrap up. And thank you for
Weed Wednesday. That's when we got the online dinner party, first edition.
Yeah. And also we have a show today at 8 p.m. With David Gandel that is about healing and hope and faith, and that starts at 8 p.m. EST.
So don't forget to watch tonight, and we look forward to seeing you. And let's bring on our ambassador.
It's already done.
We already brought up the ambassador.
All right.
It's time to wrap up. Thank you, and have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow.